Electrifying sports talk from start to finish.
You're going wire to wire
with Diesel and Cole Bryson
on the Fan Upstate.
The rain has come to a stop for now. It is getting a little humid. We are outside, set up in Boiling Springs / Inman, whatever you want to call it. Diesel and I are on location at the Gamecock Club meeting just a few hours from right now. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. This is Wire to Wire, the newest afternoon drive show on the Fan Upstate. And like I said, we will be joined all throughout the show by sponsors who made this event happen, guests, and even hear from Coach Shane Beamer, who will be here, Diesel, and that will bring a lot of people out. The draw for Coach Beamer, to see Coach Beamer. We expect this place to get filled up here in a few hours, but we are live on location at the Lodge at Lake Bowen Commons. And Diesel, I thought it was fitting, since we're here at the Gamecock Club meeting, let's get right into it, man. Like, let's just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off of this thing and look at the 2024 South Carolina Gamecocks football schedule. I know it's May. You and I can still change some picks if we need to, if things happen, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But
before we get there, Cole, I'm going to set the over-under on 4.5. So we got a 4-hour show here. I'm going to set the over-under 4.5, the number of squatted trucks we see drive by.
Oh, that'll go
out
over.
Here, man.
That'll go over.
This is Boiling Springs,
like
man.
I
That's
said,
a
welcome to
Springs
Boiling
Cadillac.
Springs. Yeah, that's definitely going to hit the over, okay? And how many exhaust will you hear? You could probably set that like 15.
I've already heard 3, and we've only been on the air for 2 minutes, man. This place is wild, man. This might be the friendliest crowd that Shane Beamer is going to have for a long while, man. You got to enjoy these if you're Shane Beamer. Everybody here is happy. Everybody's excited, feeling good about your season. There's some really good things that are happening inside that South Carolina football program to be excited about. So, hey, right now, take advantage. Enjoy it while you can. We'll see what happens as the season plays out, Cole. I know in this segment we're going to get into our picks, wins and losses, how many games we think the South Carolina Gamecocks are going to have this season. So you Tolos, while you are texting in, while you are getting on the stream, telling us where you're watching from and where you're listening from, give us your win-loss total for the South Carolina Gamecocks in the 2024 season. Just tell us how many games you think the Gamecocks will win.
So we're going to do just that. We are 3 months and some change, right, Diesel, away from the college football season kicking off. We'll blink, and it will be here. So let's give – I don't think we've really done this yet in terms of an entire segment. So let's take a segment. Let's park here for a few minutes and give our opinions, Diesel, you and I, on what we think the Gamecocks will do in 2024. Again, we're live at the Gamecock Club meeting that will be happening in just a few hours from now. You want to go game by game?
Let's do it.
August 31st, Diesel, the South Carolina Gamecocks open their season against Old Dominion.
So wait, is this week 1 or is this week 0? Because I don't know where we're at in sports
I don't either.
Anymore.
I don't either.
Week 0 is a myth. We got to dispel this myth and get rid of the notion of week 0. But it's week 1 of the season, no matter what they call it, whatever it identifies as, this is week 1 of the season. Old Dominion,
no question,
coming to
right?
Columbia.
No questions, no concerns, no
Not
worries.
Really. No,
trap game.
Old Dominion could be a scrappy football team. I mean, they may give South Carolina a quarter, maybe give South Carolina through midway through the second quarter when things sort of open up for the Gamecocks. I mean, obviously, this is going to be our first opportunity to see Lenore Sellers in live action. Again, I don't need to see them open up the playbook.
Yep.
I don't need to see them running trick plays. And there's a lot of Gamecock fans who are going to want to see those things in the first game of the season. Well, guess what? You're not. You're not going to see those things in week 1. They're gonna hold that stuff close to the vest, right? You don't show the trick plays and the fun stuff and the exotic things against Old Dominion. You be as vanilla as you possibly can and just unleash the playbook just enough to win that game.
So Old Dominion last year, 2023. There's another one, by the way. Old Dominion was 6-7, Diesel, 5-3 in their conference. So in their conference, they didn't do bad.
Yeah.
When you look at the Power 5 schools, the big teams they played, they lost at Virginia Tech 36-17 to open the season. They lost to Wake Forest by 3. Later on, they played your Mountaineers, Diesel, where they won by. I'm sorry, they won by a touchdown. I apologize.
Don't remind me.
They did lose to Coastal by 4. And then to end the season in the famous Toastery Bowl, Old Dominion lost to Western Kentucky by 3 in overtime. So
is that the one where all the players got a toaster on their way out?
I think it might have been.
Nice.
I think it might have been.
What a heck of a gift.
You and I will both go win.
Yep.
With Old Dominion.
That's an easy one.
That's 1-0, right?
Feeling good if you're a Gamecock fan at this point.
All right. I am going to go with a win there as well. 9-7, September the 7th, Diesel, South Carolina hits the road for the very first time at Kentucky, a place that has been difficult for the Gamecocks to win at. Is this, in your opinion, a coin flip game like it is to me?
This one is, if it was in Columbia, I would probably pencil in a South Carolina win. But the fact that this one is in Kentucky and they've just had a hard time over the years getting wins up there in Lexington, I don't see South Carolina necessarily coming out of the gate 2-0. Kentucky's going to have that home field advantage, whatever it is there in Lexington. It's a decent home field advantage, but it's not fantastic. This may be the first time Lenora Sellers gets a little bit rattled, and he sees that home crowd or sees that away crowd, and maybe it causes some problems there. And I think Kentucky gets this win. I mean, Kentucky was 7-6 on the season last year, 3-5 in conference. I don't see them being a team that wins more than 8 or 9 games this season tops. I mean, probably more like 8. So Kentucky gets the win over the Gamecocks in week 2.
What's interesting about this game for me, Diesel, is, like you said, it being at Kentucky, it's been a place that's been a thorn in their side. I look at what Vegas has Kentucky slated for in 2024. Las Vegas is telling us that the over-under set on wins is 6.5. So that's more than South Carolina. So to me, this is a true coin flip game. I would like to be able to sit here and say, South Carolina, you have to write with a Sharpie marker and go ahead and put it down in stone that they're going to win. But it does scare me. However, I'm going to go on the opposite side of you. I'm going to go win for South Carolina at Kentucky, and I have the Gamecocks starting 2-0, Diesel. You have them starting 1-1. Is that right?
I do have them starting 1-1. But the good news is, Cole, the week after that, you face LSU at home, break in a new quarterback. I mean, whoever is going to be calling the signals there in Baton Rouge is going to be a really good quarterback, right? It seems like it's going to be Ricky Collins playing quarterback for the LSU Tigers this year. Garrett Nussmeier will be the quarterback for LSU this year. Breaking in a new guy, I think on the road in Columbia for LSU, that makes this game a little closer than a lot of LSU Tiger fans would like. But I do think ultimately just the superior talent across the board will win out for the Tigers, and South Carolina will lose week number 3 against LSU.
So Vegas has LSU slated at 9.5 wins, a significant jump from South Carolina and Kentucky. South Carolina being at 5.5, Kentucky being at 6.5. I agree. There are questions about the LSU quarterback. However, Diesel, if you told me this was the first game of the season, South Carolina, LSU, I'd say South Carolina has a better shot. However, LSU will have 2 games to break this guy in to get a feel for the system. And I really think that what you said is correct. And at the end of the day, they'll have a little bit more talent. I'll tell you this, I think this game's close. I really do. I think this game is close, but I'm going LSU. So I have South Carolina starting 2-1, and your record would also mirror that. Just a different loss.
I have them sitting at 1-2 after 3 games.
LSU, they are staying home on the 31st. Akron, I don't think there's any question mark there. Diesel, you and I both have
easy win
the Gamecocks at 3-1, right? Lenore probably plays a half.
Yeah, and if you if Lenora Sellers has to play the whole game here, man, you're in trouble. That's going to be one of those, maybe in my mind, get right games after taking your lumps in weeks 2 and 3 against Lenora Sellers' first real competition in Kentucky, and then it's just superior talent across the board against LSU. This is the get right game. This is what gets you back to 500, feeling good about yourselves at 2-2. Again, I don't see them having a ton of problems with Akron.
So, just to reset things, Diesel and I both have South Carolina starting the season 3-1. By the way,
No,
if
I
you
have
just
starting 2-2.
I'm sorry, I apologize, I misspoke. You have them 2-2 with a loss to Kentucky, LSU. I have them 3-1 with one loss to LSU. Just a quick note: we are broadcasting live at the Lodge at Lake Bowen Commons for what will be soon the Gamecock Club meeting in Spartanburg with Coach Shane Beamer. We'll have Coach Shane Beamer for a few minutes as well. Diesel has South Carolina starting 2-2. I have them starting 3-1. Where do you have South Carolina starting through the first four? 71307. Start your text with the word fan. We will see the text. We're also live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Kevin says on the stream, Diesel, why will they lose to Kentucky? You're the one that picked them losing, or did I?
I do. Yes, I do have them losing to
Oh,
Kentucky.
I haven't beaten Kentucky, right?
I think these are two fairly evenly matched teams, and really, the question is just how well is Lenore Sellers prepared to go on the road. This will be his first SEC environment as a starter.
Sure.
And, that's not an easy thing to do, even if it's Kentucky, right? I mean, Kentucky now is not Kentucky of old where they were an easy pushover. So I think what they got going on up there at Kroger Field might be just a little bit too much for Lenore Sellers to handle in his young career. And that's okay. If you're Lenore Sellers, it's okay to take your lumps. It's okay to figure things out slowly. But I do think they struggle at Kentucky. I don't think it'll be a big blowout win, obviously, for the Wildcats. I do think it'll be a relatively close football game, but I don't know that they have enough to get that win on the road.
So Diesel 2-2, Cole, myself, that's 3-1. Here's where I think it really gets interesting, Diesel. You come home for a 3-game stretch, right? You have LSU, you have Akron, but you end that 3-game stretch hosting Ole Miss. I would think that you and I both have this as a loss, but I really will be interested to see if South Carolina fans disagree with us on this one.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough game, I think, for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Ole Miss is just returning an awful lot. They returned 13 starters off of last year's team. That's not the most in the SEC. Georgia and Kentucky both return 15. There's another part of that equation there for you. Who was that asked that question? Kevin. Kentucky returning 15 starters. Georgia returning 15 starters. Florida returning 14. Ole Miss returning 13. So these are going to be experienced teams that South Carolina is playing early in their SEC slate.
They are, and at the end of the day, Ole Miss is going to be tough because I think Ole Miss has a coach and a system in place, regardless of the players that are on the field, that is better than what Shane Beamer has. What I mean by that is I trust Lane Kiffin better than I do Shane Beamer. And if you take offense to that, I'm sorry. I just have always been pretty high on Lane Kiffin, what he did at Alabama. That's not to say I don't like and trust Shane Beamer. I just am really high on what Lane Kiffin's done, and I think Lane Kiffin will have a better game plan. I think they'll be the more talented team. So Diesel, the Ole Miss loss for me, my prediction will put South Carolina at 3-2. The Ole Miss loss for you will put South Carolina at
the Ole Miss loss will put them at 2-3 on my slate. Yeah.
All right.
It's going to be a rough couple of weeks there inside the month of October.
It is
for South Carolina.
It really is. You're right. After Ole Miss, things don't get easier.
No, they don't.
You've got to go to Tuscaloosa and take on the Crimson Tide. First year for Kalen DeBoer. I want to hear the audience. Please try to tell me how we should sway our opinion here, because I know that Diesel and I are both going to pick Alabama, I would assume. I want to know from you, the audience, 71307, you the Tolos, and be unbiased. Be as unbiased as you can be. Is there any pushback with this one? I have them losing to Alabama, Diesel.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama, another one of those situations where, just like LSU, where they just have superior talent. I know that they're going through a coaching change, but I don't think that that's going to be enough. I mean, we are at that point going to be, for Alabama, at least 5 games into the season, right? They should have things figured out at that point, even if it's not a huge win for the Crimson Tide. It could be a relatively close football game. I'm talking, 10 10 points or less, the final differential. I just don't know that they have the talent across the board at South Carolina to be able to beat an Alabama. This is going to be your best shot for a while, right? If you're going to get them,
Sure.
you better get them coming up on October 12th because, as Kalen DeBoer gets into year 2 and 3 and 4 in his tenure there in Tuscaloosa, they're going to be a program that's out of reach again.
This one being at Alabama is where I raise a flag of concern. I do not think South Carolina is capable and ready yet, keyword yet, to go on the road and beat Alabama. Is Lenore Sellers going to be a good quarterback this season? Can he upset a team or two? I think he will. I think there's a possibility. I just don't see that team being the Crimson Tide. So for that reason, I'll go loss, and that puts me at 3-3, Diesel, for South Carolina.
Yeah, that's got me at 2-4. I mean, if you still had Spencer Rattler, if you still had Xavier Legette, you may have a better chance of beating Alabama on the road. But South Carolina's breaking in a lot of new pieces as well.
New coaches.
They're breaking in new quarterback. They're breaking in a lot of new wide receivers. So, you don't very often take that many question marks on the road into Bryant-Denny Stadium and come out with a win.
It's a tough place to win, regardless of who the coach is, right? Like, if Saban's there, if DeBoer's there, if you and I are coaching, it's a tough place to win. On the stream, Jacob says Lenore Sellers equals baller. JD says, I'm getting depressed, so I am out. Let's see. Brandon Burnett says it's happened before. It was at the house, though, not on the road. You're right. But Stephen Garcia is not the quarterback this season.
So, I mean, I get a sense that, Cole, here, we got a couple of Gamecock homers in the audience watching the stream who are going, anytime there's a 50-50 or even a 60-40 game, they're going in favor of the South Carolina Gamecocks. I would ask you to explain to us why. Explain to us why. Like, Lenore Sellers equals a baller based on what? Jacob, we look at these things objectively and say, well, he's still a question mark. He could show us that he's a baller. But we're making these assumptions and these guesses based on what we know about him right now. And what we know about him right now is not an awful lot.
Yeah, and, we're making these in May. Again, as I said coming into the segment, one or two may change. They may not, but we'll see. All right.
Yeah, we reserve the right here, Cole, to say, if you try to say gotcha on one of these games that one of us picks and goes the opposite direction, we have very clearly planted a big old fat asterisk on this to say these picks could change over time.
Sure. So maybe more wins for
you
South
don't get
Carolina.
To nail us down. We are Jello, buddy. You can't nail us to the wall on this.
Next one is at Oklahoma. So after they leave Tuscaloosa, before the bye week, October 19th, they will go to Oklahoma. I also, again, I have that as a loss. This is a brutal schedule, and South Carolina is, in my opinion, not ready yet to make the next step. Diesel, what do you have Oklahoma?
This could be another close one. I mean, Oklahoma's not returning an awful lot, returning just 9 starters. Most of them are going to be on the defensive side of the ball, though. And if you're South Carolina and you can't score on that defense, I see this as being a low-scoring game. Oklahoma, I see Oklahoma maybe winning this game 14-10 or 14-7 because South Carolina, again, going to have a tough time moving against an Oklahoma defense. I know what you're saying. This is a Big 12 defense coming in where they don't even play defense, but they got some hogs on that side of the football, and you're going to have to get over that, and also try to do that with still a relatively young and inexperienced offensive side of the ball for the Gamecocks.
Jackson Arnold has been in the system for quite some years and has more experience than anyone else in the quarterback room for Brent Venables. Jackson Arnold is expected to be the guy for Oklahoma. So I like the experience. I like him having those years of experience in the system now that Brent's had a few years to get his feet wet and maybe become a little bit comfortable in what he's running offensively and defensively. I like Oklahoma in that one. That would put me at 3-4. The Oklahoma loss would have South Carolina at 3-4 for me. Diesel, it would have them at what, 2-5?
2-5 on my slate.
Wow.
And that's when
what happens if they start 2-5?
that's when the goodwill from events like this start to wear off.
Man.
And a lot of Gamecock fans are saying, hey, Shane, we gave you an opportunity to change your position staff around you, and it's not getting the job done, buddy.
A&M is next. A&M's next. Diesel, let's do this. If it's okay with you, let's take a break, come back, and finish this on the other side. We have A&M, Vandy, Missouri, Wofford, Clemson remaining. I'm at right now 3-4. You're at 2-5. We'll also get to Xavier Legette minicamp update from Diesel. We'll do that on the other side. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson, and this is the Fan Upstate.
Tapping out on this Call in if you're man enough.
844 Fan Phone. This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
We spent the first segment of the show, Cole, going game by game through South Carolina's football schedule. In my mind, Cole, it's not looking good up through week number, week number 7 at Oklahoma. I've got the South Carolina Gamecocks starting 2-5.
Ooh.
You're a little rosier than I am. You got them starting, 3-4?
That's right.
Which is not awful considering, the gauntlet that you have facing LSU, Ole Miss, both at home, at Alabama, and at Oklahoma through the first 7 games of the season. After that, Cole, things get a little bit easier. The month of November, I think, going to be a little bit kinder to the South Carolina Gamecocks. But again, I have them at that point looking at a record of 2-5 with wins versus Old Dominion and Akron, losses on the road at Kentucky, at home to LSU, at home to Ole Miss, losses on the road at Alabama and Oklahoma.
So I have them going 2-0. And then they drop the third game, in my opinion, to LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have them beating Akron, 3-1, 3-2 to Ole Miss, 3-3 to Bama, and then 3-4 to Oklahoma. So, Diesel, that takes us back home after the bye to A&M.
That brings us back home against Texas A&M, which I think this starts a little mini run for the Gamecocks here, Cole. I have them bouncing back against Texas A&M with a win at home. A&M returns a lot, a lot of returning starters off the 2023 team, but they were a 4-4 SEC team last year. They've got a new head coach, a lot of question marks. Things are always kind of up in the air there at College Station.
Sure.
So I think South Carolina gets that win against A&M at home.
Wow.
And it starts, in my mind, a 2-game winning streak.
I did not think that you and I would both have them winning at home against A&M on the 2nd of November. However, we do.
Yes,
I also have them beating A&M, which will get them to 500 for me, 4-4 before they hit the road again.
Yep, then they take on Vanderbilt on the road on November 9th. I think that's going to be a fairly easy win for the South Carolina Gamecocks. It takes me back to the conversation that we had when we were discussing their game against LSU. South Carolina is just going to be better across the board. At that point in the season, Cole, if you're losing on the road at Vanderbilt, something is very, very wrong. And I just don't see it out of this Gamecock team. I think they'll have enough, to just out-talent the Commodores as they should year in and year out. That's a team you should never, ever lose to.
Yeah, you said it right. If they lose to Vandy, they've got pretty big problems, which I don't think they do either. So that puts me at 5-4, a winning record for the Gamecocks.
You got them over plus 500
in November.
Give
Beamer a raise,
which would probably see them, given the benefit of the doubt of being in the SEC, probably sees them as on the cusp of a top 25 team, maybe sitting more in that others receiving votes category. But hey, you got to feel good about that at that point in the season. I don't have them there. You do. You're a little rosier on this than I am. Then I see them taking on Missouri at home in Columbia. That's probably going to be a loss. Missouri bringing back an awful lot off of an 11-win team, and I don't know what it is. I don't know who Eli Drinkwitz sold his soul to, but man, he has figured out a way to win in Columbia.
He has.
And he keeps getting it done no matter what team he's coaching. He gets it done there in Columbia.
Vegas has Missouri over-under wins at 9.5.
So not quite as good as they were last year.
Not quite.
Okay.
Still a good team in the SEC, right? I hate doing this. I absolutely am torn, and this may be for me between now and August. This may be where I have a little bit of change, but I'm going to also have South Carolina losing to Mizzou. I think this is a huge letdown game at home. After going and beating A&M and Vandy, you come home in front of your home crowd. Just when South Carolina gets you to the height, you lose.
Well, Missouri is another one of those programs, Cole, that has exceeded their reputation. They still have this kind of sagging reputation as a 5 or 6 win team every year. But Missouri, with Eli Drinkwitz there as head coach, man, has really turned things around. Moving up to November 23rd, Wofford at home. That's going to be a fairly easy game, I think, for the South Carolina Gamecocks. So through 11 games, Cole, I have Wofford sitting at 5-6.
Wofford or South Carolina?
Excuse me, I have South Carolina sitting at 5 and 6 up through the Wofford game.
So I have them just flip-flopped, 6 and 5.
Okay, so you have them as bowl eligible already at that point.
Yes.
Well, Cole, that's what makes this so fascinating, because you go into the last game of the season on the road at Clemson, bowl eligibility on the line. They win that game, they go to a bowl game. They lose that game, they stay home. And that's going to be a tough one. You know, Clemson has a lot of question marks as well. Cade Klubnik, has he figured it out at that point? We haven't seen it over years past. He didn't really figure it out late in the season last year to the point where we all expected him to be.
2 years in a row, you have that being the game that decides bowl eligibility for the Gamecocks.
And I unfortunately do not see the Gamecocks getting it done on the road in Death Valley, losing that game, finishing the season at 5 and 7, which it's a good thing that the crowd is still pretty sparse here at the Lodge. It's going to make the seat really hot for Shane Beamer at that point.
It's going to be interesting if they do finish 5 and 7, because I think that's a tiptoe gray area of where you judge your coach. 6 and 6, I think, is good enough for him to keep his job. That's where I have them. I have them losing to Clemson at Clemson in the final game, and I have Diesel South Carolina. As of right now, I have South Carolina finishing 500 at 6 and 6.
Dalton on the stream says, I'm hurting his feelings, man. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I mean, you've lived through this, Dalton. You're a diehard Gamecock fan. You've lived through this for years. You understand what you're up against playing in the toughest conference in the land. You know what kind of a difficulty it is to make to be a 6 and 6 team every year. But you would think at this point, Cole, you would hope at this point that Shane Beamer has built enough that he can start turning that corner. And there's going to be a lot of Gamecock fans who look at this and say, Shane, we've given you a fair amount of time and the results really aren't coming, right? We expect more out of this team. We don't expect you to go out and be a 10-win type of team, but we expect more than being sub 500.
Yeah, and listen, I think that the interesting thing for me, Diesel, you and I both agree, I would think, that if they win 4 games, there's issues. Yeah. I think 5 and 7 is so interesting of a record, though, because it is borderline. As I said a minute ago, it is the gray area, and I think that's where Shane Beamer continues to make the decision difficult for Ray Tanner on what to do going forward.
We talked about it yesterday. We talked about it yesterday with Ray Tanner and his interest in keeping coaching staffs in place maybe a little bit longer than he should. Again, he's given Shane Beamer opportunities to shuffle those deck chairs and to change out his OC and to change out his DC and do what he needs to do to get them where he wants them to be, but it's not quite getting there.
5 wins, though, is what you have. Do you think he keeps his job at 5 wins?
At 5, gosh, that's when you look out there and you say, well, what's the coaching landscape? Would South Carolina, I don't think they would be one of those teams that would move on early so that they could get a head start on the coaching search.
Sure.
But I don't know that Shane Beamer survives another 5 and 7 season.
I genuinely don't. Diesel, I believe because of the offseason coaching additions with Sean Elliott and Mike Furry, I think that as long as Beamer doesn't flop in 2024, I think his job is safe.
So your definition of flop is 4.5. The over-under on 4.5. Yeah. Anything less than that is a flop. Anything over than that, at that point, you say he's treading water. And,
I think so.
You know, it's fascinating, Cole.
I think if he wins
we talk about the baseball program and how they don't suffer losing games in baseball in South Carolina, but they'll suffer, you know, these mediocre 5 and 7, 6 and 6 type seasons, and it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
4 puts the seat incredibly hot, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I think 4 wins makes the seat hot. I really do.
Cole, let's keep it here with the South Carolina Gamecocks and take a quick look. We're only a few days into a lot of rookie mini camps across the NFL. Get a little practice report on Xavier Legette and Spencer Rattler. I know there was one more Gamecock that was drafted, I think, with 30 or so spots behind Spencer Rattler, but these are the 2 players that I know a lot of our Gamecock fans in our audience really care about. Coming out of Charlotte, Xavier Legette was a fan favorite and was a focal point at rookie mini camp. We have some news about his number and his choosing to stay with number 17, which was his number there in Columbia. He almost switched to number 2, Cole, but he asked his brother. He called his brother and said, "What should I do here?" And he said, "Man, stay with what you know. Don't go changing things up at this point." Xavier Legette in practice had some completion issues. Now, he was taking passes from an undrafted rookie quarterback, Jack Plummer.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was taking passes from Bryce Young. But, you hear we talked about the practice reports yesterday from some of those guys like Caleb Williams and Drake May, and they were saying, man, the ball was just zipping off of their fingers. And, again, part of that could be taking passes from Jack Plummer, but there were some issues.
Who the heck is Jack Plummer?
Yeah, exactly. Never heard of it. Xavier Legette himself even attributed some of those issues to a lack of familiarity between him and his quarterbacks. He said, quote, "We just got to work on the timing." Wait, can I say it in Xavier Legette's accent?
I was going to say,
man, we just got to work on that timing.
Speed it up a little bit. Speed it up just a tad.
He said, quote, "They're new to me and I'm new to them, so we just got to work on the timing, get that down pat, and we'll get on the right track." Dave Canales also said that Legette's rare blend of size and speed is something that young quarterbacks need to get accustomed to. Quote, "He's covering ground like you're not used to seeing," and just kind of looking at Montana.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. When you stop, I want to go back to what you just said.
Yeah, they said that Xavier Legette, with his size and speed, man, he's able to just zip down the field, and so maybe his quarterbacks are having a tough time keeping up with the kind of speed that Xavier Legette has. That's a little bit self-serving there.
I heard that just
now.
That's a
lot of it self-serving.
You mean to tell me you make it to the NFL as a quarterback, and now all of a sudden we're putting out quotes that say, well, the receivers are too fast for him. Yeah. Are you serious? I mean, go to freaking UFL,
Yeah.
Call the Rock. Go play on Saturdays. That's embarrassing.
And as we head down to the Big Easy, Cole, where Spencer Rattler is now with a New Orleans Saint. This is coming from their practice report. Quote, "They were pretty efficient. He was getting them in and out of the huddle. So that just shows you he has command of the huddle because they throw a lot at you in rookie camp. Or even when the veterans come, you have OTAs and minicamp. You have to be able to grasp it." So, the reports coming out of New Orleans are essentially just very milquetoast nuts and bolts. He can get them out of a huddle. And that seems like, duh, of course he can get them out of a huddle, Cole. But, we've seen college quarterbacks struggle with some of the very, very simple things. And, hey, man, you got to take this all the way back to the basics and just, have everybody on the same page, have everybody queuing off the same guy.
Yeah.
As silly as it sounds, and we laugh about, hey, he can go ready break and get everybody out of a huddle. Isn't that awesome? Sometimes some of these guys struggle with that.
I think Dalton asked the question that most South Carolina fans are wondering, or thinking, or asking at this point. And Dalton asked on the stream, do you think Spencer could get any playing time this year? Talking about Spencer Rattler. Appreciate you listening, Dalton. I say probably not unless injury.
Yeah.
Injury is the only way I think.
It's true. And I think, of the quarterbacks not taken in the first round, Spencer Rattler has found himself in a very good situation.
Sure.
I think, maybe not this year, but next year, as Derek Carr gets a little bit older, as his skill set maybe starts to diminish a little bit, I think we could see Spencer Rattler starting midway to late in the season next year in New Orleans. I think he found himself in a very good situation, assuming that the personnel matches up to Spencer Rattler's skill set.
Yeah.
I think taking a full year and then some to learn the system is going to do him really, really well. And I think Spencer Rattler will start as a New Orleans Saint at some point next season. If not, that would be the beginning of the 2026 season. I really could see him being a lead guy there.
Well, you know how much I love Derek Carr. And I've said many
Derek
times.
Broke down Carr?
Yeah, broke down, whatever you want to call him. I've said many times that I'm not a big believer in his tenure in New Orleans lasting a long time. So I think the best case scenario is similar to what I saw as a Cowboys fan, Diesel, when Romo kind of reached the end of his career and Dak Prescott kind of took over.
Yeah.
Maybe Rattler continues to play well in training camp and preseason, and maybe he just kind of eventually becomes the guy. I think that's a great scenario.
My only fear there, Cole, is that he doesn't necessarily progress as fast as the staff wants to see him progress. And if the New Orleans Saints struggle because, Derek Carr's skill set is diminishing and he's not winning games, they may draft a guy and jump over him and not really give Spencer Rattler the chance that he deserves.
Sure, and I hope that's not the case.
I do as well.
But the reality of it is you got to win now in the NFL. I mean, you have to win now. Hopefully, he gets a shot. We are live at the Lodge at Lake Bowen Commons. Not a lot of people here yet. However, that will change here in a few hours as the Gamecock Club event with Shane Beamer will be here tonight. If you stick around, if you TOLO, that means turn it on, leave it on. You'll be able to hear Coach Beamer at some point later on in the show on this very station. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. Coming up next, we'll get to our daily wires. What happened last night that you need to know about.
Diesel and Cole Bryson on Wire to Wire. This is the Fan Upstate.
He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. This is the newest afternoon drive show right here in the upstate of South Carolina. So glad to be with you. This afternoon, we are at the Spartanburg Gamecock Club meeting. We will be live until 7 p.m. right here on the Fan Upstate. Diesel, it's time for a little daily wires. Start us off there with the Bravos and what the Bravos did last night.
Yeah, the daily wires, man. The Atlanta Braves got the 2-0 win on the road last night to open up the series against the Chicago Cubbies. Reynaldo Lopez was the starter in that game. I think that's just an all-around great job on the pitching side of things for the South Carolina Gamecocks. So, for the Atlanta Braves. So congratulations to them getting that road win, 25-13 on the season, 2 games back in the East. They've got themselves in a position, Cole, where, you win a couple games, you get yourself back up there in first place. And if you can hover right there in that 1 or 2 spot for the majority of the season, obviously that puts you in the playoffs.
Absolutely it does. 2 games back in the East, like you said. Another daily wire, Clemson Coastal today. Baseball game that was scheduled for tonight has been canceled, not postponed. Diesel, just wipe it off the schedule.
That might be the best thing for the Clemson Tigers right now, man. Coming off of that sweep over the weekend against Wake Forest, you don't want to be playing a team like Coastal Carolina. I understand they struggled down the stretch and they've fallen out of the top 25, but Coastal Carolina is still a good baseball team, man. And if you can avoid the potential ugly loss at this point in the season by just wiping it off the schedule, that's probably a good thing.
Upstate High School football showcase tomorrow at Spartanburg High School. Over 30 colleges will be in attendance to see 8 to 10 local schools, all of that talent in one place at one time. I will be in the press box at Spartanburg High School giving you a sneak peek of what's going on there. We'll have a couple of coaches on as well. Diesel, did the Hurricanes do it again last night? Survive one more time?
Still alive, my friend. A 4-1 win against the Rangers. New York Rangers still hold the series lead, though, 3-2. The Hurricanes had a monster 4-goal third period with goals from Kuznetsov, Martinuk, Nekas, and Stahl to win that game. Man, it's I kept missing all the goals. It was driving me nuts. I was trying to bounce back and forth between that and the Braves game. And as soon as I would bounce away to the Braves, bam, they'd score. And as soon as I came back, yeah, exactly. If I don't watch this team, they win, man. I've always believed, Cole, that I am the nexus of sports results in the universe.
A little superstition.
Right? Like I turn the channel, the team wins the game.
Yeah.
If I wear the right color underwear that day, the team wins the game.
What color did you have on yesterday?
What color did I think I had on blue yesterday. I think I was wearing blue undies.
The audience can sleep at night
Skin
now.
tight.
The Stars defeated the Avalanche last night, Diesel 5-1. They now lead the series 3-1. That series, in my opinion, is probably over. The Celtics defeated the Cavaliers Monday night 109-102. The Celtics have a 3-1 series lead as well. Also last night, the Thunder defeated the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas was on top, jumped out to a huge start. Dallas was playing phenomenal. The Thunder came back, won 100-96. Series now tied 2-2.
How come no one can explain? Like, you call basketball a game of runs, right? No one can ever really explain why a team will be shooting white hot for 4 minutes of the game, get out to a 20-point lead, and then just go cold.
I'll tell you my belief on it.
Jeez.
I really believe if you're shooting well to start, it's not a good thing. Like, I believe halftime is that break that the team that's shooting hot doesn't want, and Diesel, the team that's cold, does want. I think it really – I know it's a game of runs, like you said. It is interesting. Tonight in the NBA playoffs, the Pacers and Knicks at 8 p.m., Nuggets, T-Wolves at 10:30. Both of those series are knotted up 2-2. Also tonight, 7:20, the Braves and the Cubs face off again. Diesel, Chris Sale on the mound for the Bravos. They're going on a little bit of a run. I think they've won 5 of the last 6.
Yeah, Chris Sale has been a very pleasant surprise for Braves fans. Obviously, we knew Chris Sale was a really good pitcher.
Yeah.
Right? But we questioned his durability over the course of the season. And it's still early, of course. But through the season so far, he's 5-1, tied for the 4th best starting pitcher record
That's great.
in Major League Baseball. He's got a sub-3 ERA, 52 strikeouts. I mean, he's in the top 26 in every single category for starting pitchers in 2024. Man, Chris Sale, Braves fans, you've got to be really happy with what you've gotten out of him, and a guy that a lot of people knew that he had the talent. But it's like, can he really hold on and be this good for the majority of a long season?
It would be a really good thing, Diesel, if somehow Chris Sale could go on, like, let's say it's May. If they could send Chris Sale at the 1st of June on a month-long cruise, like a Carnival cruise, just a nice month-long vacation, just to give him some rest and make sure, he doesn't have any injuries, because, as you said, he has been injury-prone. The last piece of news broke earlier today, Diesel. Clemson, Georgia, August 31st, Mercedes-Benz. The time has been announced. Everyone thought it was going to be prime time, and it is noon.
Oh, come on. That's tough.
12 o'clock, man.
Man,
Can you believe that?
I feel for the bars and the liquor stores in greater Atlanta, because you're not going to have the opportunity there, Cole, to sell a whole lot of booze before the game starts.
That's unbelievable.
That's rough.
I just got a text, Diesel, that David Korn here at the Lodge is going to hop on with us in the very next segment. So we'll have him. We'll also have some other sponsors drop by later on. And Coach Shane Beamer. How about that?
That is going to be awesome. If you got questions, we're only probably going to get to ask one. So you better be a poet, man. You better throw us some Shakespearean-type questions if you want us to eschew the things that we want to know and ask your question instead. But Cole, somebody out there might have a better question. They might be better at our jobs than we are. They might have a question that we need to ask of Shane Beamer. And you can get into the comment section on the stream right now, onto the text line at 71307. Start your text with keyword fan.
We will talk to David Korn at the Lodge. We are set up right outside the Lodge at Lake Bowen Commons for the Gamecock Club event coming your way in just a few hours. 71307. Get your thoughts in there. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson, and this is the Fan Upstate.
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish.
You're going wire to wire
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
on the Fan Upstate.
We are live on the ground, Cole, in Spartanburg County. You Spartanburgers, come on up and see us. You guys are now officially Spartanburgers. Even if you didn't want to be, you are. Come on by. We are live here at the Lodge at Lake Bowen Commons, and we are joined now at the moment by David Korn, a big sponsor and a reason why we are here today, Cole, for this Gamecock Club event. Pretty soon, this place is going to be a sea of garnet. And David, judging by your hat, you're going to be more than happy to bring all this garnet into the business. Tell us about the lodge here, and tell us, for anybody who's never been to this particular venue, what do you got going on here?
Well, we always excited to bring the Gamecocks. About every 2 years, the Gamecocks will bring the coaches up here, and we're always excited. Now we got Shane Beamer and the excitement that's around the Gamecocks. I've been an avid Gamecock fan since I was a child. I had season tickets for almost 10 years. And but like I said, we're excited to have them up here. At the lodge, I never know what I'm doing. We're known for doing weddings and receptions, but we host events, like I said, for the University of South Carolina, the Equestrian Center. I do things for the NRA Banquet, Wild Turkey Federation. But most of you know I used to be the Southern Sportsman. Some of you came in here when it was open, and I tell people God has a sense of humor. You never know what you – don't say you'll never do nothing. Yeah. I went from being the big Southern Sportsman to the wedding director.
There you go. Well, we know that you're an avid Gamecock fan, but let me ask you this question. If another school in just down the road here, if their check cleared, would you invite them through the door?
Well, let me tell you something. I've had 2 Gamecock cheerleaders get married here, and I've had 2 Clemson cheerleaders get married here. So if you look at my Facebook, you'll see me with Cocky, and I'll tell you a quick story about that. And they'll see me with a Tiger. I'm always holding up number 2 on the Tiger, man. He's holding up number 1. At the Gamecock cheerleader, she got married here. Yeah. I was the MC that night. And when they had their first dance, when they came back in, Cocky was outside the door here. I had a fog machine. Right when they got near the end of the first dance, I turned the fog machine on, and it started rolling through the floor of the lodge.
That's sweet.
Right when they got through, I said, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest all the way from Columbia, South Carolina. Y'all make welcome. And Cocky burst through the door.
That's great.
Slid up, and they started doing the wobble out there in the middle of the floor.
There you go.
So I just never know what I'm doing. I never dreamed I'd be doing this for a living, owning a venue, but I really enjoy, meet people, making friends, and getting me a part of people starting their new life out and doing events like this right here. Sure. I'm just telling you, you never know who's going to walk in that door.
So
celebrities and stuff.
My question to you is, as you have a Gamecock hat on, we'll say it now because there's nobody, Shane Beamer's not here yet, but 3 years from now, heck, I'll do you one better. 2 years from now, when they have this event again, will Shane Beamer be here, or will it be somebody else?
I believe he will. French Rattler did a great job, but I'm excited to see this new quarterback. The few times I got to see him play last year, they brought him in. Remember the first pass, that rainbow into the end zone? I mean, that just showed you, I think, great things to come for the Gamecocks.
So you think what Lenore Sellers is, what you've seen, you like it?
I do. I mean, I think we need a quarterback back there that can drop that long ball and also can run. Yeah. And, I'm seeing now, I was just reading on the internet a little while ago what the Saints saw in Spencer Rattler. I'm sure that's what Beamer saw. The accuracy. What was he? 12 out of 13.
Sure.
And his exhibition, little game.
We were just talking about that.
We were just talking about some of the practice reports coming out of New Orleans. And at this point in the rookie mini camp, they're just 2 or 3 days into it out there. And they're saying, you know what, Spencer is real good at getting people in and out of that huddle. Okay. He's good at doing the simple things. And hey, that's what matters. You can't do the big things if you're not doing the simple things right. So bringing it back here to the lodge at Lake Bowen Commons, what do you do? What do you think it is that makes this such a special venue? Cole and I have had a chance to walk around on the inside, love the feeling, give people a sense of what they see when they walk in, the things that you do so well here.
Well, we're the only, one of the few turnkey venues. That means we have everything. Lee and them with the Gamecock Club, they like it because they've not even been here yet. Does it not look like it's set and ready to go?
It looks fantastic.
I mean, we have linens, tables, chairs, sashes. We have the color scheme, 50-something color schemes we do for bride and grooms or your event. I do class reunions and stuff. I do the school colors.
Sure.
I have one of the best DJs in town that work here. I can provide any service you need just with a phone call.
What I was impressed by that you and I and Diesel were talking about off air was if this venue, if someone listening wants to have a wedding of a family member or their wedding here, what really took me for a loop was something you said about how you can flip the venue while they're outside taking pictures from the wedding venue to the reception venue. So you can do it all in one place.
Exactly. That's what people like. It's over 12,000 square feet.
Yeah.
You see, people don't realize how big it is until you walk in them doors.
Sure.
32-foot high vaulted ceiling, the 32-foot high fireplace, the 2-story balconies. It really looks like something in Colorado, don't it?
Yeah,
it does.
Or something out in Wyoming. And when God sent me this idea, it was the Southern Sportsman. You saw it then. People couldn't have the vision that I think he was sending me, and they laughed at me, thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
But, I did too at first. I never dreamed I'd be doing events like this. Never dreamed I'd be talking on the radio with you guys about the Gamecocks. But, I don't think God done nothing little in my life. So I'm just blessed to have owned the building, to be able to turn it into something like this. It was something our community needs. Me owning the whole facility here, I'm able to bring in different businesses that our community looks for. I just brought in a new coffee shop down there called Mocha's Mug. Really busy. There's always 20 or 30 cars around it. I kind of study the community. I'm born and raised right here on Lake Bowen. Kind of got to feel what they're looking for.
Sure.
And at the time I did this, there was really no wedding venues around or event venues that looked like this. And y'all probably boys been to other things with the Gamecocks. I doubt any of them look like this inside.
Sure.
I mean, you just get the feel of all the rock and the stone and the log. It just gives you a good natural feeling that is, a homey feeling. That's, you can dress it up. You can do a country event or whatever you like. We can do it all.
Tell us about, since you said you were born and raised right here on Lake Bowen, what's the biggest fish you ever caught on Lake Bowen?
Big fish. I got a 9-pound, 2-ounce largemouth. I've caught a couple around that 9-pound mark.
Man.
But, I've got some big catfish and stuff. I live on the lake, so I'm always fishing off on dock and stuff. One of the biggest thrills I had was last year. God blessed me with 2 awesome daughters. One runs Southern Charm right there, and my other one's a school teacher at New Prospect. But I don't think God sent me no boys because I probably got them eaten by a bear or something. All the traveling I did, shooting that bow and arrow with Matthews and stuff. But he sent me 3 grandsons now, and I just got my first granddaughter, Annie Beth. And I tell you, it's having them little boys that can come to my house and see Papa and go fishing with him and stuff. And this year I got to bring my oldest grandson. He's 4. And Luke got to catch his first big fish. I got pictures. That? It was one big buffalo carp that hangs out in Lake Bowen. And it was 30 pounds. It was big as long as he was. So and he was reeling that thing. He said, Papa, we need a bigger rod. Little events, little memories you make. And I just thank God he lets me have. I hope he let me live long enough to share the adventures my dad got to do with me growing up here on the water and stuff. Teaching me how to fish and hunt. I reckon God knew I was going to have a sports store one day.
Right.
I didn't play sports a lot. I did try basketball out, and then I got hit in the nose and broke my nose over here. Then I tried baseball, playing shortstop, and I was running my mouth. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
And I heard the crack of the bat, and I turned around and caught the ball in my mouth and cut my bottom lip off.
Well, let me ask you this. This is a question that will be asked a lot tonight between Diesel and I and the listeners that come out and people here at the event. And I want to know your opinion as a South Carolina fan. Don Staley's done a terrific job with the women's basketball program. They've got a men's basketball coach now in Lamont Paris who's doing a really good job. We all know we live in the South, so football's king. But right now, is South Carolina a basketball school? Baseball programs dropped off, or are they still a football school?
Oh, we're still a football school. You watch what packs that stadium. Gamecock fans, we're true blue. We don't jump off the ship when it starts sinking. Hey, we've been there. I remember I had season tickets the first year Lou Holtz came there. I remember getting beat by Florida by 20-something points and driving back from Columbia to Spartanburg and feeling good about it. We was ahead like 14 or 21. We got beat by 20, but, just see the excitement around, when Beamer came and just the positive. When I met him here the first time, it was totally different. He's just like me and you sitting here talking. Yep. I mean, I've known him for a long time, and just a very friendly guy. I think when I watch on the field, I watch the great coaches that are in football. They're motivators. Yeah, that's what you got to do. I watch Shane Beamer high-fiving the guys, and just he's one of them. He's excited about what he's doing, and that's contagious about anything.
Sure,
you can take an average player and make him great if you motivate him hard enough. He telling me this is your time to shine. Yeah, I'm depending on you today.
But that's got to translate the win sooner or later, right?
I hope so. Yeah, and I think Rattler did what he could. I mean, he came in, and I think he's got – I don't know how coaches do it with the transfer portal. I think it's myself what it's doing to football. I mean, you're building a program. You depended on these certain players, and all of a sudden they get the feelings hurt and they're gone.
Yeah.
I mean, how is this fair to the coach? I mean, the players and the fans. I mean, I just think NCAA got to do something. They've got to rein this thing in somehow. You see players that go to a school before they even start, they transfer again.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
How is that fair? I mean, how is it fair to a program
Sure.
who gives you a chance? You know, and I don't see all this how it's going to play out. Do y'all?
So
I mean, how's it going to work?
David, yesterday, we had a Gamecock homer call in and say Shane Beamer was going to go 12-0 this season, and life is as good as it's possibly going to be. But to start the show here, we had to go game by game and make our picks.
We are playing Alabama, right?
Yeah, you are. You're playing at
is that
Alabama.
The third or fourth game?
Yeah, that's down there.
Yeah.
That's at Alabama too.
Yeah,
right?
I think Cole was a little rosier on the Gamecocks than I am. I think he had him sitting at 7-5. I had him sitting at 5 and 7, 6 and 6. Excuse me. We looked at a couple games, David, that are kind of right there in that could go either way 50-50 category. That's probably on the road at Kentucky, probably at home versus Texas A&M. Maybe the Clemson game is sitting there as a 50-50 type game. Which of those three do you feel the best about, and would you see South Carolina winning all three of those games?
Well, as a Gamecock fan,
Yeah.
the one I want them to win every year is, of course, Clemson. We should have beat Clemson this year. I mean, if the game was a low-scoring game like it was.
Boring game.
Yeah. All we needed was one big play to spark it and take the win. So that's the game I want to see win every year, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go 6-6 or that, whatever. When you end the note of the win at Clemson, it's just see that Clemson game knocked us out of a bowl and everything.
Yeah.
It was just that's the one game Beamer's got to win. We did that.
Doesn't matter about the rest of them, right?
You remember when Clowney was there? I remember he told that quarterback from Clemson and said,
Todd Boyd, right?
Todd, yeah, you'll never see a W as long as I'm here.
And he did.
That's true.
Todd Boyd never beat Carolina. One time.
You got to have that mindset with them Gamecocks that they're not going to beat us no matter what. We'll be 6-6, but we're going to win that one game.
Who's your favorite looking back? You can go real far back or more recent. David Korn's favorite Gamecock ever.
Connor
Football.
Shaw.
Oh, that was a quick answer.
I know. Connor Shaw was tough as nails. I mean, he was your size fella.
Yeah.
He wasn't a tall quarterback or nothing, but man, that dude was tough, wasn't he?
It was.
He would hit you. He didn't take.
He was tough, and you know what? He played through injury.
He did. I mean, he was. And if he hadn't got hurt, where did he go? He went to the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
And if he hadn't got hurt, who knows? He might have had a chance. But to me, that was an era I had season tickets and everything, and going there and watch that young man just give 150%. I mean, he didn't lay down. He didn't fall down. You had to drag him down. He was going to knock your teeth out if he could.
David, to set the scene, for those of you who are not going to be able to make it here to this event today, you walk in through the front door, and we talked about it. It looks like a Colorado ski lodge. It's an absolutely beautiful venue. Staircases coming down both sides of the venue. Can you tell us what you got planned for Coach Beamer when he makes his grand entrance? Is he coming down one of those staircases with doves flying and music playing? Or Shane Beamer's a man of the people. Will he walk right through the front door?
I will not lie. I do have 2001 set on the sound system.
There you go. There you go.
So I don't know how they want to do it, but usually he hangs out over at the bar area over there and signs all the autographs. You see, I had the table set up for him, and when he takes the stage, well, we don't have the stage set up that, but he comes out. It'll be you'll hear it down the street. I guarantee you. They'll make some noise. So however they want to do it, but I'm looking forward to it. I said my birthday is Saturday. I'll be turning 60. I told Lee and him, I said, this is the best birthday present I got. Is having the Gamecocks come to town to my venue, and I get to share that day with everybody.
David, I think that one thing that Gamecock fans don't get enough credit for is their loyalty to the football program. Because let's be honest, outside of Connor Shaw and those back-to-back 11-win seasons, South Carolina hasn't done much to give the fans reason to pull for them consistently. And the support with the university and now with Garnet Trust and the NIL collectives, I think South Carolina fan base can say they're probably one of the most loyal in the country.
Oh, by far. I mean, like I said, I bought season tickets when we were 0 and 12, 0 and 11. I mean, and I live in Spartanburg. That's an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hour with traffic drive.
Yeah.
And to come back home feeling good when you get beat by 14 by Florida, that just shows you what a loyal fan is, don't it?
Right.
And, you know, we got, you know, you got to have hope.
Sure.
We always got looking for next year, and that's always a cliche. People always saying that, wait till next year. But, you know, I think we got some great young athletes there coming up and some exciting times. I mean, I just can't wait. We just need a few big wins to get us in that 10, 11 game win seasons and get to the few more of the clownies coming in here. Those big-time players that will come in and tell them, got a quarterback, you won't win as long as I'm here. You know, have that attitude, I am the best for this position.
My last question for you, David. This past weekend, Diesel and I were there. We were downtown Spartanburg, the new minor league baseball team that announced their name. There was, 5,000 people in attendance,
like
Diesel?
Yeah. Oh, really? Big
crowd. A lot of people downtown Saturday. And the new name was unveiled for the minor league baseball team. They've already started the stadium downtown behind the new hotel, and it's a Rangers affiliate. The new name is the Hub City Spartan Burgers. Your initial reaction?
Oh, that's not good.
You gonna put me on spot? Spartan Burgers.
Spartan Burgers.
I don't win a different direction.
It's funny though.
I'm getting hungry thinking about it.
His reaction, but
are they gonna not sell hot dogs? They gonna
no hot dogs, burgers only.
Burgers only.
The funny thing is, Diesel, his instant reaction just now was the same reaction everybody had.
About 5,000, about 4,500 people in that crowd had that same.
Who came up with that?
So we had the
What
GM on.
company?
We had the GM on yesterday, and he told Diesel and I that a big reason for it was that to them, people in Spartanburg were known as Spartan Burgers. And I said yesterday on air, I said, I've lived here my whole life. I've never heard anybody call them Spartan Burgers.
Me either. I've never heard Spartan Burgers, you know, Sparkle City and stuff like that, but I've never heard us called Spartan Burgers. So
it's a new one.
That was a new one. That was somebody pinned one on us, I believe. I believe they got one over on us.
So,
you think so?
So, David, we can describe this venue till we're blue in the face on the air, but people really would fall in love with it when they see it for the very first time. So, where can people go to see photos, to see more like videos of what the kind of events you've put on? Because I think once they see it, once they see another wedding happen there, once they see another graduation party, an anniversary party, something like that, they can really envision their event happening in the very same space. So where can people go to find photos and videos of events that you've had here in the past, and then reach out to you to maybe plan their own events here?
Yeah, right. We have our own website. It's the Lodge at Lake Bowen Commons. Just Google that and you'll see my website. Click on it. It has a link right to me and tells you a lot about me and a lot about the business, how I got into the business. And you'll see a lot of testimonies. And if you want to, I got a Facebook. It's not under the Lodge. It's under my name, David J. Korn. And just friend me on Facebook. You'll see over, I think, 400 or 500 weddings and events we'll do. You'll see the Gamecocks on there tomorrow night, which we get it all edited and put them on there. So you see all the events and stuff, and you will see your wedding or your event and the colors and everything on my Facebook or on my website. But I'd love people to give me a call, and I'd love to set up a tour with you, let you come out here and see this beautiful venue. I mean, hey, I direct, and I got, like I said, most of the weddings, and that's crazy. I know I was from a big Southern boy, but time people talk to me, I've done over 1,400 weddings.
Wow.
In 13 years.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of weddings.
We average over 100 weddings a year now. And but like I said, you do something that many times, you learn.
Get good at it too.
And you learn what people want to feel, want to hear. You learn, a wedding or an event is all about making people have a good time, and keep at a pace where nobody gets bored.
That's right.
And that's my job. I'm more of an MC. You hear me talking to you on radio and stuff. I got that personality.
You're a spark plug.
Yeah, that's right.
Spark plug at the event.
It is. My job is to keep things going. Everybody has a good time. But I'd love everybody to give me a call or check my Facebook or check my website out, and maybe they come out here and take a look at it. But I'm excited to see all the Gamecocks come out here tonight. A lot of my friends will be here, and let's meet Shane Beamer again. It's going to be fun.
We appreciate your time, and look forward to talking to you soon.
All right, but thank y'all.
That is David Korn. We'll talk to him again soon. Coming up next, we will look at the top 5 week 1 games of 2024. What games in week 1 do you need to mark on your calendar? He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson, and this is the Fan Upstate.
844 fan phone.
This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
We're live at the Lodge at Lake Bowen Commons on this Tuesday night. The rain's cleared up. It's turning into what should be a nice evening in Spartanburg for the Gamecock Club meeting with Shane Beamer. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. We will have audio at some point a little bit later on in the show, a live interview, media availability with Coach Beamer. So we hope you stay tuned for that. Appreciate David Korn for joining us in the very last segment. Diesel, want to look ahead now, down the road a little bit, to week one of college football. Diesel, the top 5 week one games in 2024. I think there's some pretty good ones. I really do. It's not the best week one we've ever had. I feel like it's, I would probably rank it a B, maybe B+. But coming in at number 5, tell me if you think this one is as interesting as I do. North Dakota State at Colorado week one. You like it or no?
Oh, I do. I have that as one of my top 5 as well. North Dakota State is one of those programs, Cole. It doesn't matter if they're changing a coach, if they've got a new quarterback, they are going to hit the ground running and still win at a very, very high level. And see, these, Cole, are the Super Bowls for North Dakota State.
Sure.
And I don't mean that in a sense that a lot of fans will say that, oh, we're your Super Bowl, so you really got up to play us. No, North Dakota State is so much better than almost everyone else at the FCS level that they really pin their hopes year in and year out on winning these Power 5 games.
Yeah.
And, man, I'm telling you, Colorado is a very winnable game if you're a Bison fan.
Would that be, and I think this is intriguing on a lot of different levels, but North Dakota State, we know how good they've been for a long time, Diesel. Mm-hmm. If they were to go and upset Colorado, would that be a big enough shock to the system to really put a cause for concern on Coach Prime in Colorado?
No, because I think a lot of people understand what he's dealing with at Colorado. I mean, some of it is self-inflicted. Some of the hubris that he has injected into that program, it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah.
That might grate on some Colorado Buffalo fans and some big-time donors and those who are high up in that program who maybe aren't super, super keen on that level of cockiness from Coach Prime. But after a year, one season and one game, that is not even close to enough to put any kind of legitimate concern into his.
But you're right. It is a
tenure.
Winnable game, though, for North Dakota State.
It is. I mean, the question is, can Colorado's 5 or 6 really good skill players beat North Dakota State, who's just one of those teams that, they don't have the Shadur Sanders type of players, but what they do really well, Cole, is build a team.
Mm-hmm.
They play as a team. They play probably better team football than a lot of Power 5 teams, and that's why they're just so good.
Sure. What about Miami at Florida? Week one, Mario Cristobal, Billy Napier, both year 3s. To me, this is intriguing. I don't think either one of them are going to be really good this year, Diesel.
No.
But in terms of like the future of these head coaches, this is a big deal.
Both of these are such hungry fan bases.
Yeah.
They want to be back so badly. Miami always thinks that they are one player away in the portal from being back. And they never really are. Florida feels like, just because of their past and the fact that they're in the state of Florida and in the SEC, that it is their birthright to be a top 10, top 15 program. And, man, both of these programs are trying so hard to claw back. And if the fact that you start the season with such an intriguing game, I think, man, this could be that kicker that it's not going to be the reason why either one of these coaches are fired if it happens.
Wouldn't help, though, would it?
But if they are a 6-win type of team or a 5-win type of team and they lose this game, that might be the thing that pushes it over the edge, the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Right now, immediate reaction, or not reaction, but immediate thoughts on who wins that game 3 months away.
Well, the game is in Gainesville, correct?
Yeah. I think I'm going Florida.
You think you're going Florida?
I do.
I mean, gosh. Yeah, there's a ton of talent on the roster there. Miami is a talented team as well, but they're going to be on the road playing in the swamp. ACC teams don't typically fare very well on the road against SEC teams. So
that should be a good one, man.
I'm going with the Florida Gators as well. If Miami, I think will be able to bust open some big plays and keep it tight, but I think Florida ultimately wins that game.
By the way, Can it get here soon enough? Like,
Oh, I'm
can
so
college
ready.
football get here soon enough?
My wife is dreading it because
Yeah.
she's going to lose me for a couple of months.
All right,
Sorry,
the number 3 game on my list for opening weekend, week 1, if you will, Notre Dame at A&M, Mike Elko era Diesel at A&M versus his old quarterback at Duke, Riley Leonard. I think this one's super fascinating. At A&M, what if Riley Leonard came in there and got a little revenge?
These are these matchups that we want right here
Yeah.
in week 1 of the season. How many times did we look back and say, the season didn't really start until week 3? Not for these two teams, man. They are going at each other hard early in the season. A&M's going to have some struggles, right, with a new head coach, a new staff. I think Notre Dame is going to be clicking on all cylinders. Do I think Notre Dame is I think now with the expanded playoff, they are a playoff caliber team, and they would be very disappointed if they don't end up making the college football playoff. And it starts here in week 1. I think Notre Dame wins this game, not big, but by 10.
I'm leaning the
14.
same way.
Maybe they win by 14.
I'm leaning the same exact way. Listen, I hope I'm wrong, and we'll get more into this during the summer, Diesel, but I don't know that I'm sold on Mike Elko. I do not know if I'm ready to plant my Mike Elko flag at A&M. I still have question marks there. So we'll see. I think Notre Dame wins that game. I really do. I have 2 left. USC versus LSU in Vegas. Lincoln Riley versus Brian Kelly. Get the popcorn out. This one should be good.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. I mean, it's not really a home game for either, though. It's a heck of a lot closer. LSU fans travel in mass. I mean, we've seen it every year when they sell out all the Jell-O shots in the state of Oklahoma or Nebraska. So I don't think there's going to be any shortage of purple and gold for that game. Man, I see this one being a really fascinating, entertaining game. But ultimately there, I do see LSU winning this game.
Is it time to put up or shut up for Lincoln Riley? Like, is that too far, or would you agree with that?
I mean, I would agree with that. I mean, he came in with so much fanfare, right?
He did.
He came in with this is going to be the savior of Southern Cal football. He's going to get us back, right? Back to the Pete Carroll days, and it just hasn't happened. It's fascinating, Cole, how there are some of these programs that they had their success in the 90s and the 2000s, and God, it feels like no matter what you do, you just can't get them back there.
I'm very intrigued with what the future holds for Lincoln Riley. I really am. I like Brian Kelly, and I think that's going to be one of the best games. I'm torn between this one and the next one for me, Clemson, Georgia. You know what? These are so close to me, Diesel. It wouldn't surprise me if USC LSU was a better game than Clemson, Georgia. Would that be fair? To say that game could be better?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
You know what? As much as we want Clemson, Georgia to be an intriguing game, the reality of it is if Klubnik doesn't show up, Diesel, that game could be over at halftime.
Yeah, that very well could be. I think Georgia, they not only do they have the most talent in the country, but they also brought back the highest number of starters of any team in the SEC. There's one other team, I've already closed the window, one other team that brought back 15 starters, and Georgia just so happens to be one of them. I mean, they are a loaded football team, and this game could get ugly and be over early. And then, Cole, could that be the thing that starts the question marks and the negative voices around Dabo Swinney and all of his inability to get things going in the transfer portal? Could that be one of those things that really kickstarts that conversation early this year?
It could. And listen, the reality of it is the last thing Dabo Swinney wants, the last thing Cade Klubnik wants is to go out there and lay an egg against Georgia, because you said it. That is correct. Diesel, that game, the result of that game is going to set the tone for the rest of the season for Clemson. And if it's not good, guess what? Clemson fans are not going to buy into Klubnik for the rest of the year.
And think about the precedent, Cole, it sets. If the narrative from Clemson fans becomes, well, it's okay that we got rolled by Georgia because we're just not on their level.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's pathetic.
That's
pathetic.
You know how people bargain, Cole.
Yeah.
You know when these situations come, oh, well, they just have way too much for us. So what you're saying is you don't have enough for them.
No. And the reality of it is Clemson don't. Yeah. Like, let's not beat around the bush here. Let's not pretend. On paper, I know these games aren't played on paper, but looking ahead 3 months from now, on paper, Clemson and Georgia aren't on the same playing field. They're not. They're just not. And I think you'll see that. And Clemson's defense, remember a couple of years ago, Diesel, I don't remember the exact year. I want to say it was 2021. Yes, it was 21. First game of the season, 21, Clemson, Georgia. Georgia won the game, but the only reason Clemson was in the game was because of Clemson's defense. So it wasn't ugly. It was a very close game. Clemson had chance after chance after chance with DJU to do something, but they didn't. I think this one could be similar in the sense of the only way for the tide not to turn on Dabo and on Cade Klubnik is for the defense to keep them in this game and give the offense a shot. But I don't know that I feel good about that, as talented as Georgia is.
Yeah, in the off-season reports that we've been hearing about Cade Klubnik and the spring game reports, you were there, you saw it. He still doesn't look that crisp. At this point, you're 3 years into this program. I understand you've only been a starter for 1 full year. But you should have a better command of this offense. You shouldn't be making the oopsie mistakes, the weird, I'm going to pull the ball and run it to the outside mistakes. And is that just in his DNA? Is that just part of who he is?
It could be, but I tell you what, if it's part of his DNA, you better get rid of it. I mean, he better, do whatever he has to do because I do believe Clemson's defense will be good. I do believe Clemson's defense will be borderline elite this year. I really do. I think their defense and what I saw last year and what they have returning this year, plus new additions and guys like Sammy Brown, I love what I've seen from this Clemson defense. However, the question mark for the last how many ever years, Diesel, has not been the Clemson defense since Trevor Lawrence left. Since Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun left, every year the question mark is, well, we got DJU. Well, we've got Cade Klubnik. The question mark continues to be the quarterback position, and that's not what Clemson fans want.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be able to recruit the best of the best, and it seems like maybe Dabo's philosophy of recruiting the guys who fit their mold and who fits his philosophy just doesn't get the best players, right? The best is the standard, or is it? Cole, on top of those 5 games that you already listed off, because you did a fantastic job picking 5 of the best games of the season, there's 2 more that really fascinate me, Cole.
Okay.
One on a much smaller level, but it's just down the road from us, about 2.5 hours to the southwest. Georgia State versus Georgia Tech, like an in-city game between 2 programs that, have never really gotten off the mat. Georgia Tech will pop up and be good every now and again. Georgia State breaking in a new head coach.
Is that at Georgia Tech?
That is at Georgia Tech. Either way, I mean, fans aren't going to have to travel very far for that game. I know Panther fans are going to be real psyched to get out and hopefully get that scalp there.
Let me ask you this. How bad would it be to lose that game to Georgia State? Or is that a black eye in your opinion?
I mean, the fact that Georgia Tech has been down for so long, I don't see that as really being a black eye for them. I mean, the whole program is a black eye for the school.
True.
Until they change their admission standards, man, it ain't getting any better there for those who rock that gold and white. Another one, Cole, that I look at is North Carolina on the road at Minnesota, ACC Big Ten matchup to start things off. And who knows, Cole, maybe one day that ends up being a Big Ten conference game. But seeing North Carolina go on the road, playing in a big environment in week number 1, this is, Mac Brown's getting older. He's not getting any younger. He's not, his skills as a head coach are going to start to diminish over time as well. So that one is really interesting to me.
That is, I do think that looking at the total picture of week 1, there are some intriguing games. I don't think it's as good as we've seen in the last 3 to 4 years, but maybe that creates better storylines and better games down the road. But Diesel, tell us what we have coming up next in the very next segment.
Coming up, we are going to meet Nathan Harvey, the owner of Grass Bros Turf and Pest Management. One of the big reasons that we're out here today. We appreciate their contribution and their sponsorship of our appearance, and we're going to learn more about his business and teach you how you can get a hold of him if you need some of the fantastic services that he and his business provide. That'll be coming up on the other side here on the Fan Upstates.
307. Keyword fan. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan.
Live here at the Lodge at Lake Bowen Commons, just a couple of short hours away from the Gamecock Club event. Shane Beamer set to be on site a little later on this evening. Of course, we're going to stick a microphone in his face, see if we can get some answers from Shane Beamer leading into the 2024 season. But joined right now by Nathan Hanvey of Grass Bros Turf and Pest Management, one of the fantastic sponsors and businesses that made it possible for us to be here. First of all, Nathan, thanks for joining us. You are decked out head to toe in your Gamecock gear. You were saying that on your way up here, you were listening to the show. First of all, thank you very much. That makes at least one.
That's right.
You were you were not quite as bullish on the Gamecocks as some people who were texting in and messaging in on the stream. I had them at 5-7. Cole has South Carolina going 6-6 this year. Are either one of us going to hit this, nail on the head, or are both of us wrong here?
Well, Cole, Diesel, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate y'all coming out and supporting Gamecock Nation. Yeah, we got a lot of Gamecock homers out there, but I think them Clemson Tigers have a lot of them as well, too. So.
Everybody does. Sure. Everybody does.
I think you guys are real close, man. It could come down to that Clemson game again this year like it did last year.
For bowl eligibility?
Bowl eligibility. We're just not quite over that cusp yet. I think after the whole Muschamp era and things, I think things were a lot grimmer than us Gamecock faithful would like to have looked at. But, hey, Shane's got a lot of new excitement in there. There's the question, are we a basketball school or a football school? I know the owner of the Lodge says that we're a football school, but hey, Don Staley and Paris are doing their thing right now. So we might be heading in the direction of basketball, but hopefully Shane will get things turned around for us and get us back over that.
I want to ask you, local business owner, obviously, of Grass Bros Turf and Pest Management, South Carolina Gamecock fan, as Diesel said. I asked David Corn the same question. I want to ask you, 2 years from now when they have this event here, will Shane Beamer be here?
Oh man, I think he gets one more season, even if he only comes out with 5 wins. I think he gets one more season. I hope that the best for Shane. Shane was a part of some of the best Gamecock football in history, with Coach Spurrier and him here as an assistant. So I think he has all the right tools. He's a little bit of old school with a lot of young in him, so he knows how to reach these guys. They touched on the transfer portal. It's tough for any coach these days, especially in a situation like South Carolina where you're fighting in one of the toughest conferences in the nation, and then you got Clemson in your backyard as well.
Nathan, tell us about Grass Bros Turf and Pest Management. Are you more of a small home type projects? Are you working on big projects for businesses or golf courses? What are you doing?
Well, Grass Bros Turf and Pest, I've been at this since 2001. I originally started my career with Scott's Miracle Grow. They sold out to True Green in 2016, and when they sold out to True Green, we started Grass Bros Turf and Pest Management. So I'm basically an agronomist by trade. I implement and design fertilizer, weed control, disease management programs for turf grass, pest. We get into things like fire ants, mosquito treatment, stuff like that. Anything to do with the lawn, we take care of it outside of your normal maintenance. We're not a mow, blow, go company. We're not a landscaper. We like to keep it clean, green, and healthy is what I tell people.
This time of year, we're in May now, exiting the spring, heading into the summer. What would you tell our listeners about if they have a yard that's, a big yard, or a business that they really care about their turf, or whether it's the pest side of things too? What are the biggest things you look for going into the summer on that side of it?
Well, we live in a zone here in the upstate of South Carolina where everything grows. It just don't all grow great all year long.
That's right.
so you got to pick your druthers. We're in what we call fescue season right now. All the fescue lawns are looking really good. The Bermudas and Zoysias are transitioning from dormancy into growth, so you're getting a lot of green up from your Bermuda and Zoysia customers. Making sure that you're getting your final step of pre-emergence down, so you can block those summer weeds like crabgrass, those things from coming in the lawn and causing you more problems in July and August. Those are real important steps, along with feeding the lawn right now. We're in that process of really hitting the Bermudas and Zoysias with a lot of food to get them out of dormancy, get them growing, and we're starting to cut back on some of the nitrogen with our fescue properties and go to more of an iron-based pop some color before we get too warm here.
So we are at an event space right now, and I'm sure you can help people who have a space, who have a business or a backyard that they are planning an event, and they really want to pop that, make it look really, really nice. Tell us what Grass Bros Turf and Pest Management can do later on in the summer as it's time to start really making the lawn look perfect for an event.
Well, I always tell people there's no time like now to get started. So the sooner you can get going, the quicker you're going to get results out of it, obviously. As we move into the summer months, I guess the best thing I'd say do is call Grass Bros.
I like it.
Or look us up at grassrosturf.com. We're there on the internet as well. We also have our Facebook page, Grass Bros Turf and Pest Management, and we'll get you set up on a free lawn evaluation for anybody who requests one, whether that's a business or a home. We've got several residential. I've got a lot of residential customers and several commercial sites as well. So get on one of our 7-step programs, get our Lime application. Those kinds of things are going to help get that lawn where we need to go.
Hey, true story. I had a friend growing up, and their solution, I know Grass Bros wouldn't recommend this. Their solution was, let's kill our entire yard. So they literally, no joke, they killed the grass. So it was just dead. And they painted the entire grass green, and they didn't have to worry about it.
Hey, my guys at Carolina Top Dressing, they really believe in that turf paint at the end of the year. They actually painted Dabo Swinney's lawn for us this past year. So
I like it.
There is a business in turf paint, believe it or not. A lot of people don't like grass, so there's always an option. But if you like grass, you like turf, you need a guy that you can trust. Me and my brother over at Grass Bros, we're going to do a great job for you. We've been in the business for over 20 years. We are the difference between big commercial lawn care and small hometown business. Yeah. We're from here. We grew up here. We've been working on these upstate turfs for our entire lives. So we'll do a real good job for you guys. And all of our customers feel like we're family. That's the reason why we have 5 stars. And we'd love to add some more. So if you guys are looking for some good turf, give us a call.
Nathan, there was a house down the street from me when I was a kid. I was always jealous of because they had a little track built into their backyard so they could go race their gas-powered cars. Awesome. And I thought that was absolutely amazing. And you see more and more people now installing things like that into their yards. I mean, I know that's dirt. That's not really your department, but let's just say somebody wanted to get wild and build a chipping green or a putting green in their backyard. Is that something you would do for them?
Oh, no, that's not something we do. We deal strictly with growing grass. So that's where my forte comes in. But I do have plenty of landscapers that work directly with us that can do those kinds of things. I have several customers with chipping greens in their backyards. We've got football fields. I personally have a bat cage in my backyard where my son has got professional turf in it. So there's a lot of different things that we can do and a lot of different places we can get you pointed to for your lawn needs and your landscape needs.
Nathan, we appreciate it. Good to meet you.
Thank you guys. I appreciate y'all having me on.
Absolutely. Hope 2 years from now.
I hope he's still here. Maybe I get a chance to talk to him today.
If bowl eligibility is on the line, you know, coming into that game, South Carolina's got 5 wins. How are you feeling about their chances to beat Tigers at Clemson?
Man, let's go Cox. We're going to get the Tigers anywhere we go. That's how it goes, baby.
All right, that is Nathan Handy. Coming up next, it is time, what we do every single day, the 5 o'clock fight. We'll also talk to another sponsor that has sponsored this event today, tell you about another business coming soon right across the street from where we are today. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. This is Wire to Wire on the Fan Upstate.
finish.
You're going wire to wire
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
on the Fan Upstate.
It is the 5 o'clock hour. We always enjoy being with you at this time each and every day. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. Every single day at 5 o'clock, we do what's called the 5 o'clock fight. Yes, even though we're on location, we could not just skip the fight. We have to do the fight every single day that Diesel and I are together. We have to have something to fight about. Brandon, hit the intro, please, my friend.
It's an all-out slugfest, and nobody's leaving unscathed. 3 topics, 1 winner. It's the 5 o'clock fight on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
So if you are listening today for the very first time, I want to let you know how this works. It's the 5 o'clock fight. We, Diesel and I, have to disagree. So we'll have round 1, round 2, and round 3. In this fight, we'll disagree. You, the Tolos, you, the listener, get to decide who wins the fight. 71307. Start your text with the word fan. Again, that's 71307. It is now time for round 1. All right, Diesel, you ready? This one's going to get good.
Let's go.
We talked about Florida, Miami, week 1 earlier in the show. I asked the question, round 1, 5 o'clock fight today. Who gets canned first? Who gets fired from their respective school first, Mario Cristobal or Billy Napier at Florida?
Oh, I think the answer is Billy Napier. Even though it should be Mario Cristobal, I think Billy Napier ultimately gets the axe first. I mean, both could be fired after this season, Cole.
Yeah.
But these are 2 twitchy schools that are going to always be searching for the next, magic bullet that fixes everything. And I think Florida is going to be that program that has enough money that will fire Billy Napier, pay his buyout early so that they can get started on the coaching search. They don't want to allow themselves to get scooped, especially if they believe there's a chance Miami fires their coach in the same year. I know they're not in the same conference, but they will want, no matter what, to get the head start on this thing.
And I understand that because of the pressure to win in the SEC, right? I get that. I would say this. I think that Mario Cristobal falls quicker. I think he falls on his face a little bit quicker. So I'll go Mario Cristobal getting the axe first. Round 1. What do you think? 71307. Start your text with the word fan. We will see your text. Who do you side with? Who's getting canned first? Cristobal or Napier at Florida? Brandon, it's time for round 2. All right, round 2 of the 5 o'clock fight today. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. We talked about this earlier in the program. Vegas has South Carolina in 2024 at 5.5 wins. Diesel, we have to decide right now, 5.5 over or under for the Gamecocks in 2024.
Yeah, we went through their schedule with a fine-tooth comb, Cole, and I just don't see 6 wins out of this schedule. I mean, and I have them winning 5, but it's going to take a home upset over Texas A&M to get there. I mean, I don't see them winning on the road at Kentucky. They're not beating Missouri. They're not beating Alabama. They're not beating Oklahoma. They got a real tough schedule this year, Cole, and it may come down to the very last game of the season for them to get to bowl eligibility. But I don't see it, man. I don't know where you pull 6+ wins out of the schedule.
I think the Kentucky one is a very important game, much like last year, North Carolina being a very important game that South Carolina could not win. I think the Kentucky win's a very important one, and for that reason, as we talked about in the very first segment, I go over. I'll go over 6.5, or over 5.5. I have them winning 6 games in 2024. And for now, the final round. Diesel, you came up with this one, and I have yet to hear about this story. So I want to let you preface this story.
Yeah, we had the intention of bringing this into the show earlier, so we were hoping that the Tolos who were listening would know this story better, Cole. But Tyler Glasnow is a pitcher for the LA Dodgers, and he's being called creepy for the way that he met his girlfriend Megan. So when he was pitching back in Tampa, he had a photographer. He saw a girl in the crowd, thought she was cute, had the photographer look at her finger to see if she had a wedding ring on. And then he met her by writing his number on a baseball that said, text me, and tossing it up to her in the crowd. She came back the next day. She bought another ticket, came back with another with a baseball that said, no, you text me, and put her number on it. And then they met, and they've been dating now for 3 years. And he's being called creepy for meeting his girlfriend this way. Cole, is it creepy or is it a cute story?
No, it's not cute. That's weird. That's lame.
It's weird?
That's weird. That's creepy.
No.
All of the above. All of the above.
No.
I'm not buying that. I'm not a fan.
Come
Please
on,
tell
man.
me I'm
That's
wrong.
a cute story. He's at the ballpark every single day. Like, he's in a room full of sweaty, stinky men all the time. Unless it's meeting the reporter who every single other player on the team is hitting on, right? He has no chance to meet women. So, like, this is his way. He shot his shot, and it worked. They've been dating for 3 years. This is not a creepy story, Cole. It's an adorable meet cute. It may be a little CW, but I like it. It works.
All right, if you want to suggest a 5 o'clock fight, you can do so by hit it, Brandon.
What do you want Diesel and Co. Bryson to fight about next?
If you've got an ass, I'll kick it.
Submit your topics to Diesel at thefanupstate.com. Subject line fight on the Fan Upstate.
Let us know who wins today. Let us know where you side. 71307 is the way you can get in touch with the show. Text the word fan to start your message. Every single day we do the 5 o'clock fight right here on Wire to Wire. We will get to those answers coming up shortly. We'll give you time to get your answers in. Again, 71307. Want to bring in another sponsor on today's show. Wire to Wire helped bring us here, helped make this event possible. He is Gordon Ray, and the location that the Highway 292 trailer park will be going, Gordon, just so happens to be where?
Right across the street from where we're sitting here at the lodge.
All right, so we've heard the promo running for a week now. For those wondering and those that don't know, Highway 292 trailer park, tell us what that is.
Highway 292 trailer park is going to be a new venue here in northern Spartanburg. We're going to take some Connex trailers, cargo trailers, park them around the building, open up several kitchens. You'll be able to get Mexican, barbecue burgers, wings, hot subs, pizza.
Wow.
Summertime, we're going to have ice cream. And then basically the inside of the old country club, everybody around these parts knows the old Lake Bourne Country Club. We've gutted that out. We're going to open that up. There'll be seating indoor, outdoors. You'll have a craft beer wall. We're partnering with Budweiser here in Spartanburg to bring a craft beer wall. There'll be an indoor, outdoor bar. We're going to take one container ship coal. We're going to cut it open. We're going to make a stage for the outside. So we hope to bring a lot of local bands up on the weekend to play. Just really want to have a hangout, cool hangout place for northern Spartanburg. Of course, there'll be TVs on the wall for all your sports and games. So we're looking forward to it. Really excited about it.
Gordon Ray, Highway 292 trailer park, joining us here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. You know, Gordon, you see venues like this popping up all over the place. There's a fantastic one in downtown Greenville. It's a business model that works, right? Because you know how hard it is to get people to agree what you're going to do for dinner tonight. Everybody wants something different, but this just takes that concept of a food court, brings it outside, and puts everything together in one place. You know, how fast do you think that you're going to see this thing just blow up? I mean, I'm sure you've had some conversations with people here in Spartanburg County, and just you're hearing the level of excitement to have a venue like this come by.
Well, you know, Diesel, there is a lot of excitement, and it does. Any of us who are married have had that question and have circled the streets in the car where we're going to eat at tonight. So, but no, you know, Saturday night came down to the downtown with Cole and that whole Spartanburgers thing, and that's what I spent most of my night talking about. People were coming up, man, what's going on? The name kind of leaked out on us, so we went ahead and put it out there, and people were wanting to talk about it. Really excited. We're super excited about what's going on in the city of Spartanburg, but we know this area needs some stuff too like that, where people can come and hang out, and just a great atmosphere. We are 100% going to be kid friendly. We're building a little place on the backside there where you can bring your kids and they can hang out with you. So it's really going to be a great family atmosphere is what we're looking for.
Madcraft on the stream, one of our listeners says, I'm pumped for this place, going to be awesome. A lot of people hearing about it for the first time right now. Again, it's Highway 292 Trailer Park. The address, Gordon, is the same as previous, or how can people find the new trailer park coming soon?
Well, the address is 2870 Highway 292 Inman.
Gotcha.
My web designer is sitting right beside me talking on the radio right now, so we got to get him busy doing some stuff for me. Cole has handled all my social media at the previous locations and the previous spots, so we'll definitely get that up and running. People want to know when we're going to try to open, and want to take a minute just to announce too. Maverick Biscuits is coming up, kind of totally separate, but it's going to be a great breakfast location for this area. And Same venue. They're going to be right beside us. We look for those guys to open maybe 1st of June up here. So we're really looking forward to that. That'll be another great breakfast option. And we are shooting for sometime around the end of summer. Let everybody get their vacations in, get past the 4th of July, and see if we can get this thing up and rolling. Hopefully, definitely by football season, so we can have some great football games, college games on the TVs.
Have you got anything special planned for that? Are you planning to have dozens of big TVs? Are you planning to have one big screen TV showing a select game?
We have got something in mind, Diesel. I tell a lot of people these ideas are all in my head, so there's no contractor on this job. Travis and I are having to do it ourselves, but we've got something in mind that we're going to try to pull off for the outside seating area. That's going to be pretty neat, but nothing big like the freight yard. But we're going to have several TVs. And I think our thing is we don't want to leak nothing yet, but we have been in talks with several local bands to come up on that opening weekend and open this thing up for us, and that's what we want to do. We want to promote them and use Spartanburg-based bands. So we're looking forward to it.
Well, there's nothing like that anywhere up this way. If you live on Lake Bowen, if you live in Inman, even Chesney, all the way up toward Landrum, there's nothing on this side of town that offers the venue that you're talking about. And I'm sure that was one of the big reasons for the idea to be right here at 292 and Highway 9.
Exactly. Travis and I had an opportunity. Travis Owens, my partner in this venture, we had an opportunity to go to Gather Greenville and the warehouse in Simpsonville, and just really fell in love with the whole concept, and said, there's nothing up here yet. Let's try to be the first, and let's get this thing going and get everybody on board with it. And it has been, like I said, Saturday night was just another example of, that's all I talked about down there. So it was great.
So Gordon, you were there on site with us in Spartanburg when the Hub City Spartanburgers name was announced. We had Tyson Jeffers, the GM of the team, on with us yesterday, and he revealed some of the process behind choosing the name that they did. And he kind of knew that they were going to catch some heat for reusing the Spartanburgers name. First of all, I want to know your thoughts on the name Spartanburgers. And then I want you to talk to us about the naming choice of calling your venue 292 Trailer Park. I mean, is the idea there to build a little bit of buzz around sort of a non-conventional name for a restaurant venue like this?
Well, very good point, Diesel. And first, let me say the name is fine with me. I did not. You don't have to hit the FCC bleep button for me. I'm fine with the name. I'm just glad to have baseball back in Spartanburg, and from what I've seen, it's going to be a great thing.
You're trying to get that sponsorship relationship. You can't bash the name. We understand.
I got it. Yeah. So, but no, I'm just glad it's back. And like I say, the city of Spartanburg is doing it right now. They've got a lot going on. So yeah, if you have never had to name a venue or a business, you don't know how hard it is. I kind of like what he said yesterday about just playing off the name of the team that was here and them having the resources to keep this thing going and better resources than they had the first go around. And not to mention that I've got a little connection down at Duncan Park, so there'll be some Spartanburgers stuff hanging up at the new venue over here.
I like it.
Yeah. So, but no, I'm good with the name. Again, I'm just glad and excited we're getting minor league baseball back in Spartanburg. It's going to be a great thing.
So again, for those that just tuned in, Gordon Ray of the soon-to-be Highway 292 Trailer Park. This is a weird area. this address is Inman. This is Bowling Springs, Spartanburg County.
Right.
So it's a crossroads. It's at the crossroads of Highway 292 and Highway 9. Same place as Maverick Biscuit, as you said, coming soon. For those that just tuned in, though, food options, food-wise, what will Highway 292 Trailer Park offer?
I just want to say, too, I don't know what my accent sounds on here, but Cole sounds totally different and professional. I'm impressed, Cole. This, by the way, for any listeners, is a Midwestern German accent mix. A lot of people confuse it with a little Southern accent, but not at all. So your option is going to be we're going to have Mexican food. Of course, we'll have one trailer doing Mexican tacos, street tacos, burritos, chips, dips, that kind of thing. We're going to have another one doing real authentic barbecue, burgers, wings. And the third trailer will have pizzas, hot subs, kind of Italian theme. And then again, we'll have a dessert trailer featuring ice cream and slushies and those kind of things in the summertime when it warrants. So it's really going to be neat.
If you guys have never seen one of these types of venues, and like I said, it is a business model that works every single time you see a venue pulling a structure like this, it always packs out. I mean, people come around to get all these different kind of foods all in one place. Trust me, you might have a hard time getting in there to find yourself a seat early on, because I have a feeling, Gordon, that this place is going to be slap full immediately as the people in this area get really, really excited. As we're starting to see a line form here at the Gamecock Club meeting here in Inman, is Bowling Springs, and we're kind of right there in between all of it. So I think you got yourself a fantastic location. I think you got yourself a fantastic concept, and I think people are going to flock to it. So I'm really excited for it.
I want to ask you the same question I've asked everyone else today.
Oh, my goodness.
2 years from today, when this event is back here at the Lodge, you're a Gamecock guy. Will Shane Beamer be the coach back here at the Lodge 2 years from today?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. There was a lot of momentum behind the scenes to get Shane to come to South Carolina. I'm happy where we're at. Nowadays, college landscape has changed so much, and I heard you guys talking earlier about the transfer portal, and it is just in these NIL deals. I saw yesterday some kid going to play basketball in Washington getting $2 million NIL deal. It's crazy, the landscape and how it's changing. But I think he's a good old school guy, and I think I'm gonna talk quiet so they don't hear me, but Gamecock fans have to keep our expectations real. And but I think he's doing a great job, and we're going in the right direction. So,
Gordon, I picked 5 wins on the season. Cole picked 6. Are you willing to go 7, or is that too rich?
No, I'm gonna up you 1. I'm gonna go 7.
Okay.
I think we're going 7.
I like it.
7 wins.
We're going 7.
That'd be big. That'd be really big. It really would be right now. As tough as the schedule is, that would be big. 7 wins for South Carolina.
And that's the other thing. I mean, every year in, year out, toughest schedule. So keep your expectations real. But yes, I do believe he'll still be here if it's his choice to be here.
He is Gordon Ray, coming soon, right across the street from where we are now, Highway 292 Trailer Park. We appreciate you hopping on, and hope we see Coach Beamer here in a few minutes so you can share those 7 wins with him.
There you go. Well, thanks, guys, for having me. It's been my pleasure.
That's Gordon Ray. Diesel coming up next.
Coming up next, Cole, we didn't really get a chance to dig into that story completely. Tyler Glasnow, the pitcher for the LA Dodgers, kind of let the cat out of the bag a little bit, but I want to go deeper into that story, and I want to ask the Tolos, how did you convince the missus to sign on? He's a rich baseball player. I think it's easy to get women to say, okay, I'll hitch my wagon to that ride. But I want to ask you again, I'll get deeper into the story. For those of you who haven't heard it yet, it's a weird story about how Tyler met his girlfriend. People are calling him creepy for it. I think they're wrong. That's coming up next here on Wire to Wire on the Fan Upstate.
information required. Card does not cash access.
Call in if you're man enough.
844 fan phone. This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
We are live here at the lodge at Lake Bowen Commons. Cole, we got the owner out here walking around with a stick, man. I don't know if he's directing traffic or hitting people, hitting Clemson Tiger fans who wander into the parking lot here. But man, this place is starting to hot, man. We've got YFF 4 News here. We were on TV apparently. Cole, look at us, man, making big time.
Is that good or bad?
I don't know. I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, they got us from the sides, so we can't look a whole lot worse.
Turn his mic up.
Space for radio, right?
Yeah, that's true. But Cole, we got into this a little bit earlier in the show. Cole, there's a story going around that's just kind of making its way through the media. Cole, there's Tyler Glasnow. He is a pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the story about how he met his girlfriend is going viral, and he's being called the dreaded C word. He's being called creepy for the way that he met his girlfriend. Now, I have to preface this, Cole, and say they've been together for 3 years, so it clearly worked. But we now have a female perspective as well. Kristen McCrory, our sales rep from Odyssey here, is listening to this story. And Kristen, the way Tyler Glasnow got his girlfriend to date him, he was pitching in Tampa at the time, and he saw a girl in the crowd. He thought, oh, she's pretty cute. So he goes over to the team photographer and says, hey, zoom in on her, okay? And I need to see a photo of her. I need to find out if she's really cute or if she's just cute from a distance, right? So he I guess during a break, he went to his photographer and saw a photo. He's like, man, she's really cute. So what did he do? He wrote his number on a baseball and said, I think you're cute. Text me. And he tossed the baseball up to her in the crowd. And she didn't text him that night. Ooh. But she did come back to the next game the very next day. So she had to buy another ticket, right, to be there. And see, she wrote on the baseball, no, you text me. Ooh. And put her number on the ball, tossed it back. 3 years later, they're still dating. She's moved with him to L.A., and things seem to be going really well. And the internet is calling him creepy because he shot his shot in an unconventional way, and we need a female perspective as to whether or not this is actually creepy.
Hey, by the way, can y'all hear me on this thing?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, got you.
Absolutely not. It is not creepy for a man. And when you see a woman that you want and you go to that lengths to go and see how you can figure out who she is, then you know he really likes you.
Yeah.
So I agree. I wouldn't have texted him either, but I would have bought another ticket and I would have gone to the second game and I would have sat in the same area.
Hey, here's the truth. If he doesn't take that shot, he never sees her again. And who knows? They get married, they have kids. You never know what's going to happen. But, I mean, I think it's an adorable story. It's a little CW, right? It seems like something that would happen in a Smallville-type show where Clark Kent sees a cute girl in the front row and gives her a baseball or whatever. But I think it's a great story.
Well, I think those guys can probably get any female they want. So
yeah, it also
they want
helps.
the pick of the litter, right? And so he obviously found that litter in the pick.
I'm going to see what Tyler Glasnow's net worth is. Tyler Glasnow's net worth, he's worth $7 million, okay? He's not uber rich, but he's rich. He's richer than most men will ever be. And I think it's probably a safe bet. If you go out with him, he buys you a nice dinner. You don't like him, you never talk to him again.
But make him a great friend. My mom always said, listen, even if you don't like the guy, he might have a really cute, nice friend. So you always need another friend. So you always say yes.
Well, there you go. There you go. From a female perspective, it was a good decision and not creepy at all what Tyler Glasnow did to meet his girlfriend. And again, it's worked out. They've been together for 3 years. So I ask you, the Tolos, how did you shoot your shot with your significant other? Did you do something unconventional like this? Was it kind of we went to high school together and we were sweethearts and here we are still together? I met my girlfriend, my fiance, my wife. Gosh, I met my wife in a basement. She was my friend's little sister.
In a basement.
In a basement.
That's
yeah, it was a house
That's
party.
Creepy.
It was a
creepy.
we say it that way to make it sound creepier than it was, Kristen.
A baseball player creepy for finding her out there, but you met yours in the basement.
We met at a house party in a friend's basement, and my friend, her brother wanted to keep us apart. He tried to stay. He saw the sparks flying, and he wanted to step in between us and separate us. Didn't work.
He saw you in the basement.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I'm not letting my little sister.
I'm glad we got the female
meet a guy
perspective from Kristen
in a
McCoy,
basement.
though.
Okay, yeah.
Real quick, in just a second, I want
Yeah.
to bring on Mustin Capacity, one of our main sponsors today. Diesel, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't mind interrupting. Mustin Capacity Glass, we appreciate you being a sponsor today and making this event happen. Obviously, your support of the Gamecock Club is evident. I mean, what is this? You drive up in a South Carolina Gamecock bus. Talk about making an entrance.
Well, we just want to let Clemson fans know we're better than them.
I like it.
That's right.
Tell us about Capacity Glass and what all you guys offer.
Well, our business next year will be celebrating 50 years in Spartanburg, South Carolina. So we've been here a long time. Our company, of course, we've been very blessed to, offer people our services of, aluminum storefront glass, mirrors in their house and stuff like that. So, yeah, but overall, I mean, we've been blessed here in Spartanburg.
Mustin, explain to me your Gamecock fandom. Is this something you were born into? Is this something you adopted whole hog? Pardon the Arkansas Razorback pun there. But where did this come from? Because clearly you are a bigger fan than anyone here because you got the bus completely decked out.
Well, these friends of mine actually have the bus, but this is the bus that we ride in every ball game, every home game.
Yeah.
Now they don't go to the away games with me, because they think I'm kind of wild and crazy doing things at a away game. But no, I'll tell you a quick story. My very first ball game, one of my best friends in high school took me to a Carolina game in 1979. South Carolina was playing Cincinnati, and George Rogers ran for 150 yards by halftime, and I was hooked.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I started going to ball games. And then, even though I didn't go to University of South Carolina, I went to Upstate. I just started going to all the ball games, home and away, and been a fan ever since. Not only football, but love basketball, love really baseball. Even though I can't talk about what happened to the baseball team this past weekend.
Well, that leads me into the next question. That's a great point because Diesel and I have talked about this.
Yep.
South Carolina, we live in the South, Mustin. Everybody loves football, but Dawn Staley's done an incredible job.
Of course.
Is South Carolina a baseball school, basketball school, or a football school?
Well, depends on who you want to talk to. Of course, it's still the money making is football. Okay, but look, like I was talking to Mark, who's in charge of NIL in Columbia. South Carolina is one of very few schools that make money in football, men's basketball, women's basketball, and baseball. So we make money in a lot of different sports. And unfortunately, sometimes, hey, Dawn's carrying the flag for us.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully one of these days, our men's football team steps up, our men's basketball team, steps up. And, our baseball's got, look, I think one thing you guys probably notice is, we got some very loyal fans baseball wise, and right now, we're not happy because we haven't made the College World Series. So hopefully, we'll see. Coach Tanner's a baseball guy. He's got some tough decisions after the season. Let's see what happens.
Mustin Capacity of Capacity Glass joins us here. 50 years in business, serving the people of the Upstate. For those of you, those in our audience who need glass services, tell us exactly what it is you do. Are you home services? Are you business corporate services? What all applications do you serve?
Well, our main thing is we do commercial work. We do aluminum storefront glass and all that. But now residential wise, yes, we do. We do like mirrors in residential houses, cathedral ceiling windows and stuff like that. But yeah, our mostly is commercial. Commercial is what we starve on. We got a lot of loyal contractors that we do a lot of work with. Apparently we must be doing something right. We've been around for 50 years.
That's incredible.
Well, we need to get you building custom South Carolina Gamecock stained glass, like cocky on a blue background inside Williams-Brice Stadium. Just that statement piece that you see when you walk into somebody's home. Bam, you got to get you doing that.
Well, what's funny is when you say that, Matt Martin, who's the new athletic director at USC Upstate, he's going to be here in a little while, and him and his chancellor Bernie Harris at Upstate, they're making this plexiglass thing that they want to do for their basketball team next year for the fans, where they're going to start making noise with the plexiglass that's banging away. So that's something that, upstate and we're working together on try to, make something different for them. So yeah,
Sure.
So we're willing to do anything, whatever it takes about glass or whatever. Now, hey, you got to remember now, look, we'll also do for Clemson.
There you go.
But in order to do for Clemson,
he's a Gamecock fan, but he's also a businessman first.
Hey, it's double the price at Clemson. and the thing is, I tell people, okay, one of my best friends, Phil Cornbrew, he's a talk show host. His motto was, he always knew that I did a lot of work at Clemson. And the reason being, because I always loved to take money from Clemson so they'd have less money to spend on players.
Less NIL money, right?
Exactly.
I want to go back to Kingston.
Yes.
You mentioned it earlier.
Yep.
Last weekend, not a great weekend at home. Number one team in the country this weekend with Tennessee.
Yeah.
7 years. Where do you think Ray Tanner and the people who are in the decision-making business go after this year?
Look, at the end of the day, it's Coach Tanner's call. He knows how important baseball is to South Carolina. Look, Kingston wasn't his top choice when he hired him. I'm not saying that Kingston's hasn't done a good job at South Carolina, but he hasn't done a great job. And what happened this weekend is uncalled for. And so I don't know. And I'm sure, look, Coach Tanner, Coach Kingston, they listen to the radio and to the fans, and they're probably not really happy. And look, I don't know. Coach Kingston might be listening to y'all's show. I don't know. My problem is with him, I don't see any enthusiasm out of him in the dugout. I never see him. I don't think I've ever seen him smile a whole lot. I haven't seen him raise cane. Every now and then he'll go say something to an umpire. And then, that translates to our players. I remember when, of course, it's a different breed when Coach Tanner was there because the players, they had the rally caps on and they would do all these crazy things, get the fans involved. I mean, he made All-Americans out of players that probably maybe not even start at a smaller college.
Sure.
So, I know it's hard to step into a legend. It's kind of like when Spurrier left Florida.
Yeah.
The next coach was never going to be good enough.
Sure.
So Kingston stepped into, actually we had the coach before him. I forgot about him. Yeah, Holbrook.
Yeah.
And, Holbrook, good coach. But they weren't going to be able to do what Tanner did. And so I don't know. But we got to do something about baseball. So,
Mustin Kapasi joining us here from Kapasi Glass. We got a couple of people jumping into the comments section. Trey and Madcraft. These are guys that know you and know your services, and they're big fans of yours. So we definitely appreciate your support in bringing us here to this fantastic event. I just want to know, Mustin, how fast can this the Carolina Cruiser go? Does it top out around 55 miles an hour, especially when it's loaded down with a bunch of rowdy Gamecock fans and a truckload of beer?
Well, when we go into Columbia, we take our time, 55, 60. But now when we go into Clemson, we try to get there in our parking lot as soon as we can because, we know we're going to get egged and get thrown, get things thrown at us. So it's probably, you can get, I think, downhill 70, 75, I believe.
There you go.
He'll go.
My last question
Yes,
for
sir.
you. We started the show by looking at South Carolina's schedule. Vegas has them at 5.5. 2024 brutal schedule. You have Alabama, you have Oklahoma. We know how tough the schedule is. You see South Carolina going over or under 5.5?
And I'm sure you guys have listened to the talk shows guys talking about Sellers. Could be a dark horse. There's Pete Yanity. How about that, Mr. Pete? But anyway, I know a few people in the broadcast business.
Surprised you guys didn't throw eggs at him on his way in.
Just one or two.
His affiliation.
But anyway, now, if Sellers, the problem is Sellers might be very, very good. Thing is, we got to get some receivers to throw to, and of course, like usual, the offensive line. I don't know, 5.5. Like last year, thank God I didn't borrow money from my wife because I was going to actually borrow money because I thought we'd win 7, 8 games last year. Man,
Dodged a bullet,
Yeah,
didn't you?
dodged a bullet
Yeah, you
there.
lose twice on that one, brother. You lose money. You borrow money from the wife and you lose it.
Oh
Woo.
man, that'd have been my wife. It wouldn't have been good. But anyway, I really, I haven't looked at every game that we play.
Yeah.
And me and my buddies usually about, we'll sit down and start talking about win, loss, or whatever. But we gotta. There's no way we should not win 6-7 games just next year, because not only the quarterback we got, but soon look, we can't go back to back with 4 or 5 wins. That's just not going to be good for our football team. We love Coach Beamer. We love what he stands for. He loves South Carolina.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Mustin, we appreciate you sponsorship
guys.
and appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, man. That's
Appreciate it,
Mustin
man.
Kapasi. Diesel. Very next segment, I'm going to head inside to see if this microphone still works, and we're going to hear from the man himself. That is Shane Beamer coming up next. How about that, man?
That's right, Cole. We got a line of people waiting to get in to see this event. We got throngs of people piling out of their cars, going to join that line, man. This thing is going to blow up here very, very soon. Cole, we can't wait to get a microphone in front of Shane Beamer's face and see what he has to say. Also, Cole, when we come back, maybe if we can, we'll get into this audio of Paul Feinbaum and Nick Saban. Should be some really interesting audio that I know you brought to the show today. And if we have to, we'll pivot. We'll change some things up. Maybe get into these Xavier Legette and Spencer Rattler rookie camp reports, as we are live here at the Lodge at the Common of Lake Bowens here on the Fan Upstate.
And connect with Diesel and Cole Bryson on Wire to Wire. This is the Fan Upstate.
Broadcasting live here from the Commons, from the Lodge at the Commons at Lake Bowen. Looking at this crowd of Gamecock fans that are starting to line up to get in here and hear a speech from Shane Beamer, chop it up with other Gamecock fans. I'm roughly counting somewhere in the range of 65, 70, 75 Gamecock fans already lining up to get in here. We do know that Shane Beamer is going to be speaking very soon. Cole Bryson is upstairs on a mobile mic, going to have a drop-in from Shane Beamer shortly. We're going to cut to that audio and be a little bit flexible to bring Shane Beamer on the Fan Upstate for you here in just a couple of minutes. If you're a Gamecock fan, don't turn that radio off, because we are going to have head coach of the South Carolina Gamecock football team, Shane Beamer, on the air here in just a couple of minutes. But for you fans of South Carolina Gamecocks, you know that you had a couple of big players drafted into the NFL. Want to give you a little recap on what's going on now that they are just a few days into their rookie mini camps. Again, just rookies, no veteran players have made their way to these camps. So some players are operating with less than tip-top NFL caliber players around them. But Xavier Legette, in his rookie mini camp in Charlotte, some interesting things going on with him. He was taking passes from an undrafted rookie quarterback named Jack Plummer. They were having some completion issues. This is the report. They were having some completion issues. I hate it when I can't complete, don't you? But Xavier himself attributed that to a lack of familiarity between him and the quarterback throwing the ball to him. He said, quote, "We just got to work on the timing. They're new to me, and I'm new to them. So we got to work on that timing and get it down pat." Dave Canales may be guilty of, painting a rosier picture here, but Dave Canales said that Legette's rare blend of size and speed is something that the young quarterbacks need to get accustomed to. We have a report going on coming out of New Orleans, where Spencer Rattler has been throwing some passes down there, looking quite good. They said that, focusing on getting the basics right has been really a focal point for Spencer Rattler. You think it's silly. You may laugh when the report says he's efficient at getting the team in and out of the huddle, but that's very important. How many times have we seen the simple things go wrong for football teams? So building that trust at the very most basic level is key. So Spencer Rattler doing good things down there in New Orleans. Spencer has chosen his rookie number. He will be number 18. As for Xavier Legette, he had thought about changing his number to number 2. He called his brother, had a conversation with him.
Yeah, great question. Obviously the summer will be big for all those guys, and Lenoris is our starter coming out of spring practice, and expect him to have a great summer and continue to do a great job in that role, and along with the other quarterbacks in all positions that are continuing to compete. But we'll get into practice. The way we set it up is the first 2 weeks of practice, it's really just about ourselves, and then that third week we start introducing the opening opponent. So I would say after the first 2 weeks of 2 weeks of preseason practice, 2 scrimmages in at that point, we'd have an idea, okay, here's our guy going into week 1, and not just at quarterback, but at every position. But Lenoris had a fantastic spring, and really pleased with where he is right now.
Last year, Gal was, getting his stuff put in place, a lot of personnel changes on offense. So what could year 2 look like in terms of some implementation of some new stuff that maybe the guys you had last year weren't right for?
Yeah, it'll be so different this year because our personnel is different. Quarterback wise, we go from, Spencer Rattler to a 240-pound quarterback, or Robbie Ashford, our other quarterback, is 235 pounds, bigger quarterbacks, new running backs. We don't have Xavier Legette anymore. We've got receivers that have a different skill set than what Xavier has. So it'll be different from that standpoint. So that's what spring practice is for. We've added 2 transfer receivers since the end of spring practice. Get them in here in a couple weeks and see how they can help us. And as you do every year, you want to put your offense together, defense, special teams, based on the personnel you have and what their skill sets are. But hopefully more important than anything, we can stay healthier than what we did last year. And then be able, at the end of the day, we need to be able to run the ball more effectively than what we have, not just last year, but since I've been the head coach. And that's been very disappointing. We haven't been as efficient running the ball the last 3 seasons as we need to be, and we need to be better there, and that's where it all starts.
Shane, are you in position to be able to talk about this to receivers specifically yet, or?
Yeah, they signed their stuff this week, so.
What do you feel like those guys bring to you?
Added depth for one. Guys that have, with Dale Vaughn, he's a guy that has played a lot of football, been very productive as a player. We were looking after spring practice to trying to add a little bit more size to that room. He's a big receiver as well, and he'll certainly help us there. And just being a veteran guy. And then with Vandravius, he's a guy that highly recruited to come out of high school, and he can run. And that's what we like. He's still young, like the fact that he's still got 4 more years of college as well. And really, all we know about him right now is talking to high school coaches, talking to their coaches where they came from, spending time with them when they came in on a visit, watching their tape that they had going into this season. But we'll find out even more about them once they get on campus. But 2 great young men that really enjoyed visiting with when they were here on visits, and excited about how they can just continue to add to the overall depth and competition in that wide receiver room.
With Nick Arbor coming close to the end of the track season at Carolina, have you guys updated what the plan's going to be for him this summer as far as working with y'all?
We haven't updated it. Watched on television the SEC meet down in Gainesville this past weekend. I talked to Nick's mom yesterday about a couple non-football related things. But he and I'll kind of touch base here this week at some point and talk a little bit more about it. But no, nothing new or nothing updated, but in that direction.
MJ Bennett was incredibly versatile as a high school player. Mm-hmm. Can that versatility translate to college? And if so, early on?
Yeah, absolutely. He certainly was very productive at Greenville for Coach Porter there, and fortunate to have he and Blake Franks both from there. But both of those guys went through spring practice for us. Mazio's a guy that I remember watching him when his team came to our 7-on-7 camp last summer, and just when the game begins, there's like a competitive switch that flips with him that you notice. You saw that last summer at camp, and I saw that in practice this spring as well. So he's a guy that going through spring practice was huge for him. He'll be better for it now when he gets into the summer, but absolutely, he can do a lot, special teams and offensively. And there's great competition in that wide receiver room because, like I said, we lost Xavier, and there isn't a guy that you point to that you say that's the guy to replace him. We've got a lot of guys in that room, and it's a really good competition in that room. And honestly, if you sat here and asked me today, who are going to be your top 6 to 8 receivers, I don't know, and that's the truth, and that's exciting for the summer, exciting for preseason camp to see who separates themselves and who we're able to work with.
Of course, you have a mindset going into every game, but when you have a social event like this, what's the mindset that you have to go through or put yourself in that you want to accomplish and talk to all the fans?
You got to know where you are, first of all. So here in the upstate, there'll definitely be a Clemson-centric theme being up here. That'll be the topic of conversation, that they're living here in the upstate and how important that game is. That game's important across the state, but extra important up here. But, for us, I love coming to these because it's just an opportunity to get around so many of our awesome Gamecock fans, hear their stories about what Gamecock athletics mean to them. Love, seeing people. This is my second time to this venue, so seeing people that I've already recognized that were here a couple of years ago when I was up here, that's always fun. But then just being able to, talk about the great things that are going on in Columbia. Obviously, the season our women's basketball team had, the season our men's basketball team had, but then the excitement about football and where we're headed and what we've done, but what we're getting ready to do also. So it's a pretty common theme at each of them. A lot of fun, a lot of energy, and each locale is different, and that tweaks it a little bit.
Is there a guy on either side of the ball that, in evaluating the spring, looking at film with the staff, that maybe opened your eyes more than you would have expected? Is there someone that could be that DQ Smith early this season, this time around, or someone like that?
Yeah, I think, not to try and dodge the question, I think there's a lot of guys that really, I felt stronger about coming out of spring. Probably one with the freshman class we brought in, They were all there for spring practice except for 3 of our freshman signees. Everyone else went through spring practice, which is huge. So coming out of spring, there's not a guy that we say, we might have missed on him. He's not what we thought. Feel great about the freshman class, but probably the biggest, it wasn't really a surprise, but with the transfers that we brought in along the line of scrimmage, nobody got fired up when we signed Torricelli Simpkins from North Carolina Central. I think Torricelli is going to be a heck of a player for us this season, and on and off the field. When we signed to add some depth to the defensive tackle position, DeAndre Jules from Pittsburgh and Monkel Goodwine from Alabama. There probably wasn't as much excitement as when we brought in Rocket Sanders from Arkansas. But Monkel and DeAndre are 2 guys that have jumped right in and have said, these guys are going to help us and help us a lot this upcoming season. So that's probably the biggest thing, is just feeling even better about the transfers that we brought in, but then also saying, okay, we got this freshman class right. We got a lot of really good players that are going to help us sooner than later.
Coach, you mentioned the wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the wide receiver room earlier. How has that wide receiver room changed now with the addition of Coach Brewer?
Oh man, it's awesome. Just driving up here today, I was calling a lot of high school coaches up here in the upstate, particularly, that he had been in their schools last week, and they're all talking about how awesome he's been just recruiting their schools. And he's just got an edge to him. The fact that, if you go from college walk-on to NFL starter at wide receiver, get told you're not good enough to play receiver anymore, go start at defensive back for a year, which is what he did with the Rams, then get cut, then get re-signed by the Lions, and then become the leader in the NFC in receptions. You got something to you. And just his story and the way it's resonated with our players, the fact that he played the game, he's worked his way up and grinded. He easily could have gotten done with an NFL career and gone and probably not worked again the rest of his life if he needed to, but he didn't do that. He worked his way up, whether it be at Limestone or Kentucky Christian University and places like that. So he's just brought a different demeanor in that room. He's made that group better. He's just, the biggest thing I can say is he's hungry, and he's hungry to make this place a great place, and it's very evident in his actions.
What do you challenge your team with over the course of the summer?
Right now we got some guys that are in Columbia right now. They don't have to be, but we got a group of guys that are in Columbia, but most of our guys are at home for a couple of weeks before they start summer school. So the challenge in the month of May was stay out of trouble. Challenge in the month of May was, make sure you're making good decisions, and when you come back in June, you've gotten yourself better since the time you left. But then when they come back in June, the biggest challenge will be we got to come together as a team, and we got to get better. And every coach in America says it, but the summer's critical, and it is, because for a lot of, it's the first time the 2024 football team will be together, because you don't know who your team is going to be in college football because of the transfer portal. You don't know until May. So the portal's closed. We've added some guys to our roster, and now okay, here's who the team is. So now it's how quickly can that team come together between now or when they come back in a couple weeks and August 31st. So that's the biggest challenge, is leadership has got to show up. We got to get better as a team, and we got to come together as a team really, really quickly.
Can you talk about the high school football in Spartanburg County right now? The supply of the Gamecocks with a lot of good players. Marcus Clyde, Marcellus Nile, Petty, Dylan Thompson, and we actually got the top prospect from the class of 36 at Broome High School here coming up.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the football in this area.
Yeah, that's great football across the state, and we're always going to start with recruiting in the state of South Carolina. Starts at home. Saw that firsthand when I was at South Carolina before with Coach Spurrier, how important that is. It's great coaching. There's great programs. There's great tradition. There's great players. And, I tell our coaches all the time, like, we need to – there's a lot of players in this state that maybe get overlooked, and it's our job as coaches to make sure that we're in every school and we're finding out about guys and trying to make them Gamecocks as well. And we've had a lot of success, and there's great players in this area specifically, and we will always recruit this area, and that won't ever stop.
Going into the season, you've got your punter back there, but how do you feel about the place keeping?
Yeah, that's a situation where we've got competition going, and we got to replace our kicker, and we got some guys in the program. We signed a freshman last year that has that ability as well, and really coming out of spring practice, there's probably a three-man competition for the place kicker position, and it's very, very close right now. So I've got to do a great job as a head coach in August of putting those kickers in pressure situations in practice and seeing how they can perform under pressure and who can be consistent. I mean, I go back to 2 years ago, my first year as the head coach, or second year after we lost Parker White. Parker graduated, and the competition between Alex Herrera and Mitch Jeter literally went to about 3 days before the first game. And we finally just went with Mitch Jeter and just said that, you know what, he's been just a little bit better, but I mean, it was that close. And meaning we have confidence in Alex Herrera because he's still there, but also the other guys that are in the program, they had a fierce competition in spring practice, and this summer will be a big competition for those guys also.
What would it mean to see Nick Harvard running the Olympics see one of your receivers?
Yeah, no, it would be really, really cool for our university, for our football program, for our track program, but more importantly for Nick. I know how passionate he is about how passionate he is about track. He's a great young man, so humble as well. So I'm hoping it happens. Now, it wouldn't be great from a football standpoint because of the amount of time that he would miss with football, but he and I have talked about it. We met in my office at the end of spring practice, and I told him that, man, if you could get a chance to run in the Olympics, that is like so cool and something that would be really, really awesome for him and our entire university. So go ahead, would you? One more, Wayne. Sorry, bud.
You got players here signing autographs.
Yep.
That have been unheard of a few years ago. How
Yeah.
much has NIL changed even events like this?
A lot, that I got players here signing autographs, but it's changed. But it's great though. We've had players at all of our events. We were in Florence with Lenora Sellers and Josiah Thompson and Kelvin Hunter, and we were in Charleston last week with Josh Simon, Cam Pringle, and O'Donnell Fortune. So I think it's great. We've got awesome young men in our program, and I think it's great that fans, kids, whoever can come out and get a chance to meet those guys. Our players get a chance to meet with them and connect and build relationships for the future as well. But yeah, it's certainly different. The first one of these that we went to, it kind of did a double take when I saw our players there as well. But it's great. Makes it even more energetic and lively and fun for them too to be able to sit in there and get to know our awesome fans. Yep. Thank you guys. Thank you all.
That is Shane Beamer, head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, joining us here on the Fan Upstate, talking inside to local media. We heard Pete Yannity there, Cole Bryson, a handful of other media. They're asking some really fantastic questions that Cole and I will break down and react to on the other side of the break. That's coming up here on the Fan Upstate.
A win is a win, whether it's on the real field
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish.
You're going wire to wire
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
on the Fan Upstate.
He is Cole Bryson, and he was just face-to-face with Shane Beamer, head coach of the South Carolina Gamecock football team. We also had Cocky right here at the table a minute ago, taking some photos. Man, how exciting for Cocky to get his photo with you and I, man. That's a good day for him.
The line was really long. He had to get in the back of the line.
That's true. That's true. So, Cole, anybody who was just watching the stream or listening over the air, you heard a conversation, media asking questions of Shane Beamer. It was a kind of a rapid-fire question and answer situation. If anybody wants to catch that interview again, it will be available after the show on the podcast. You'll find it at the end of the 6 o'clock hour podcast.
Posted.
But Cole, you were face-to-face. Oh, look at that. Brandon gets in our ears headset and tells us that it's already posted. So you can go catch that interview
Thank you, Brandon.
at your leisure anytime you want to on the Odyssey app or at thefanupstate.com. But Cole, I was listening. I was taking notes throughout that interview. You were there face-to-face. Give us a sense of Coach Beamer's excitement for the season and where, maybe reading between the lines a little bit. Of course, we get the coach speak answers at this time of the year, but we read between the lines of some of the things that he had to say, and that's our job, to parse these words and analyze these things.
I think the thing that jumped off the page to me was his surprise, and I think it was one of the last questions, Diesel, about players being here. And if you heard it, he said in his answer, NIL's changed not only college football, but these Gamecock Club meetings with the Spartanburg Gamecock Club. There's players in there signing autographs. So
getting paid. Yeah,
they're allowed to get paid. They had an NIL meeting before this meeting with Coach Beamer and some players. So it's incredible. Like, regardless of how we feel about NIL, it's incredible that has allowed us to have opportunities like this with Coach Beamer and some players. He was, he was very surprised by that. He just said, hey, look, I'm not used to being able to have players here. So that was awesome. But, I think the biggest thing was when we talked about the wide receiver room, and I know you heard that, and so did our audience and listeners. The thing that stood out to me the most was that he said the wide receiver room, if you asked him right now, 6 to 8 people, he wasn't really sure, who's going to step up. So I don't know if that's a good thing or I don't know if that's a bad thing that they haven't had anybody step up in terms of be the number 1 or 2 guy, Diesel.
Well, in this era of college football where these guys are just now getting a sense of who their rosters are and who's going to be on their football team come the season, I'm not really surprised, right? I mean, if you don't have a clear wide receiver 1 who's continuing on from the season prior, it's a big question mark, right? I mean, so maybe that's in a way, Cole, you could spin it and say that's a good thing and say, hey, all of these guys are equally good as weapons. And that means defenses are not going to be able to key in on one specific receiver and say that's the guy we have to shut down to stop their passing game. So, I mean, it just kind of depends on how you look at it. And it's one of those things we won't know until the season really gets started. Cole, one thing that really stood out to me, and Shane knows this, you got to get the run game better than it was in 2023.
Yep, he talked about that.
128th in the country in rush efficiency in 2023. They were not good at running the football last year. And, when you can't run the football, everybody knows that you have to throw the football, and then you can key in on 1 or 2 guys and shut a team's offense down. So that's something he knows has to be improved this year.
So you're 100% right. And he mentioned that in that interview. The run game's got to be better. I don't know, and not to overanalyze anything. And by the way, good to see our guy, Jack Veltri of Gamecock Central, who we have on, who is here as well with Gamecock Central. Not to overanalyze Diesel, but if you look at one specific opportunity for this team, one specific area I'm going to say this quietly, to save Coach Beamer and his job. The run game, in my opinion, is what has to be better. And I'm not saying the run game's got to – I don't want people to hear me wrong. I'm not saying the run game has to be better in order to save his job or to keep his job, to keep Gamecock fans happy. But everyone knows that a recipe to a successful team is the run game. That is one of the biggest, if not the biggest area, in my opinion, they've got to improve the run game.
Well, Cole, one of the big things that he said early that really kind of qualified a lot of what he had to say, and again, maybe I'm reading too much into this, you tell me, he mentioned working around the personnel that they have, which I see that as a potential red flag, as a potential garnet flag, and saying we're not really sure who's going to be the guy at a lot of positions. We kind of have to mold our offense around our individual players' skill sets.
Yeah.
And
I think
the question is, do you believe in the offensive coordinator and the entire offensive staff's ability to do that?
Well,
every team wants to do that, but can you? That's the question.
No, it's a valid question. It needs to be addressed, and I think he understands that. The talent that's there, as he said earlier, the window's closed, right? It's almost like you go into a shopping mall where we know the mall closes at this time every single day. Well, with the portal closed, he knows what he has. What's interesting, though, to kind of tag along to your point, he also said what's made college football, what's made coaching difficult in 2022, 3, and 4 and beyond with NIL and transfer portal is you do not even know your team until May. And I would even argue, I would even go as far to say you don't even know until June, because May, I mean, it's May right now, and they're not all on campus. So I would even argue that you really don't know them until June. So in terms of creating a chemistry and a culture that you need to win football games, it makes it difficult from that standpoint. But from another standpoint that we haven't talked about, how do you know who separates themselves when you can't have those competitions as soon as you need to, because it's May right now, middle of May going into June, and they just now know who their team is.
Yeah, that's one of those areas where I do believe that Shane Beamer can learn an awful lot from Lamont Paris and his ability to really forge a team and get them playing well together quickly. That is something Lamont Paris was fantastic at doing this past season. He overhauled that entire roster, and sure, it's a heck of a lot easier to do when you're talking about 15 guys on a basketball team rather than 100 guys plus on a football team.
Sure.
It's a completely different beast. But there are things I'm sure that he could take from Lamont Paris and what he was able to do with that basketball team. Cole, I did really enjoy the question. I'm not sure who asked it because I was out here, you were inside. The question about the importance of really recruiting Spartanburg County so well.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, whoever asked that question, he wanted Shane to give a little nod to the talent coming out of this county. And there's been a lot of it that has made their way down to Columbia with Lattimore, Dial, Cox, guys like them. But he reiterated that it's so important to him and his program to really, really recruit the state of South Carolina. And I have to think, Cole, that is a shot across the bow of Dabo Swinney, who is recruited very well outside of the state, but maybe ignored some players inside the state.
Well, I think one of those guys that you talk about when looking at the upstate, not just Spartanburg, but the upstate, is who Pete Yannity brought up in that interview. And we know that last year we saw it not just with South Carolina, but with Clemson. You've got guys from the upstate who have made immediate impacts. And I think that's where South Carolina, especially with their receiving room, I think that's one of the areas they have to look at and say, Diesel, okay, maybe we're not going to get the next top 5 guy. Maybe we're not going to get the next Marcus Lattimore from the upstate. Maybe we're not going to get the next, Marcellus Dial, as he did come from the upstate. But you've got to be able to get guys who can make immediate impacts. And I think as long as Beamer continues, you heard him, his answer. He said that's something we will continue to do. That is a staple for them. And also, I asked about Mike Furry from Limestone. He talked about the wide receiver room, and I didn't have this question planned, but going back to the receivers, he talked about not really having a gauge on who will step up or stand out, Diesel. And I asked him how different that receiving room now was with Mike Furry. So I guess my question becomes, that's great that it's different now. That's great that it's different in the locker room. But how will that translate to Saturdays, right? How will the addition of Mike Furry translate to South Carolina being better, having a better group of receivers who can make immediate impacts? I think it will. I think that hire, as well as Elliott, was a fantastic hire. But again, as we've said a million times, all of these things have to translate to the football field.
Yeah, and JD here on the stream here, he tapped into something that really caught my ears, talking about getting Nick Harbor ready for football. He is fully entrenched in track season, and I got a little sense there that even though it was a recruiting tactic, he was well aware of of the fact that Nick Harbor, to him being being on the track team was really, really important to him. You can tell that it is a point of contention, something that kind of bugs Beamer a little bit, that he doesn't really get access to Nick Harbor as early as he would want to. And of course, everybody wants access to one of their best wide receivers as early as they can get them. And it's one of those things. It's, you knew what you were getting when you recruited the guy. So that's definitely a challenge that he is going to face there, Cole. But one of the last big takeaways that I had was just Shane saying that he really imparted on his team to make good decisions over the summer now that spring camp is over. He doesn't get access to these guys here for a little while, and it's really important for these guys to make quality decisions. Of course, the famous quote from Steve Spurrier when talking about playing Georgia early. He always loved playing Georgia early because you knew a handful of their best players were going to be suspended. So you don't want any of these guys being suspended. This schedule is tough enough as it is, and you can't have some of your best players making dumb decisions in the offseason.
They've got to have guys step up. Look, the reality of it is the new era of college football, it's not all about what happens in January, February, March anymore like it used to. You said it. Lamont Paris has done it. You've got to figure out a way to get the group collectively to gel and mesh in quick enough time to see impacts, to see results on the field. We'll continue the conversation plus your thoughts as well. Open text line, and we'll even open the phone lines if you want to react to what you heard from Coach Shane Beamer. 71307 is the way you can text the show. Phone lines open as well, 844-FAN phone. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson, and this is the Fan Upstate.
Now at 844 Fan Phone.
This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
He is Diesel. I am Cole Bryson. Glad to be with you on the Fan Upstate as we are live wrapping up this show at the Lodge at Lake Bowen Commons for the Spartanburg Gamecock. Why do I always get tongue twisted right there? The Spartanburg Gamecock Club. The L goes in the wrong place. At least the O and the K stays in the same place.
You got to slow down, man.
The Spartanburg
Say it slow.
Gamecock Club meeting. Appreciate Lee Thornton for lining all of this up. And all of our sponsors, Diesel, we've had several of them come by today. Want to let you know that we could not make this happen without them, and we look forward to continuing to tell you about them and maybe even future partnerships with those sponsors.
Yeah, we got to throw a shout out to David Korn here, the owner here of the Lodge at Lake Bowen Commons. Man, he has a fantastic venue here. You drive up, it looks like a very nice shopping center. You walk through this front door, and you are now in a Colorado ski lodge. It's
beautiful, man.
It's beautiful. So if you're looking for a space to hold an event, a wedding, a reception, a graduation party, an anniversary, anything, literally anything, they've got you set up, man. We had a fantastic conversation with him earlier saying that, man, I've got a color palette that will take care of literally anything you're trying to do as far as a theme. And he goes, and I can break this thing down and set it and change the set almost immediately. He talks about just how many events that he has going on here, man. So this is a spot that we want our Tolos to come on out here and show some love to the businesses who are supporting us here on the Fan Upstate. And if you do book an event here, make sure you tell them that you heard about it on the Fan Upstate. Same goes with Nathan Hanvey from Grass Bros Turf and Pest Management. If you use their services, make sure you tell them that the Fan Upstate is where you heard about his business. And of course, Mustin Kapasi of Kapasi Glass. And man, that they do some fantastic commercial services. So you need glass work, call Kapasi Glass.
Let's run back through the daily wires. I know we did them, Diesel, in the 3 o'clock hour. We were in a little bit of a time crunch then, but now that everything has slowed down just a little bit, let's hit some of these wires and get our audience caught. There's the sound effect. Get our audience caught back up on what happened last night as well as what's going on.
They don't give just anybody
tonight.
an Emmy. You got to try to. We're working for it, man.
The Braves last night defeated the Cubs 2-0. The Braves are now 25-13 on the season, still 2 games back in the East. Diesel, Clemson versus Coastal Carolina tonight was canceled due to the weather, a lot of rain in the area, and maybe even some more to come. You think that might help Clemson get ready for this last weekend, little break, little night off?
That might, and I messed up there. I said Emmy, I meant to say Marconi. We're chasing a Marconi with sound effects like this. Yeah, I mean, with a Clemson team that's reeling a little bit, maybe missing or avoiding a Coastal Carolina that I know they are not on Clemson's level, but Clemson is not playing Clemson's level right now either. So skipping a game like that, taking yourself a little extra time to get yourself healthy and figure things out, it might be a blessing in disguise for Clemson.
It could be. It could be. Tomorrow, the Upstate High School Football Showcase will be happening at Spartanburg High School. Over 30 colleges will be in attendance. I'll be there broadcasting live from the press box. We'll have 1 or 2 interviews with coaches during the show just to give you a little tease. We talk about the off season with college and pro, but high school is the same way. There is no true off season. So we'll give you a little high school football tease before we really get hot and heavy into it in August, Diesel. How about that Hurricanes game last night? They survived 3-2 lead now for the Rangers last night. The Hurricanes won 4-1. Can the Hurricanes do it? Can they come back?
Ooh, I think they can. I mean, they're playing really good hockey right now. It did not look good, Cole. They gave up a goal there in the first, and then took them all the way until the third period to tie the game. But, man, then they had a flurry of goals. Kuznetsov, Martinuk, Nikas, and Stahl all scored for the Carolina Hurricanes in the fourth period. Now the series comes back to Raleigh. And I'm telling you guys, if you're ever wondering, can I get into hockey? Could I really be into it? Now is the time. There's no time like the present. No better time than right now to turn on a Canes game. The next game, Game 6, will be Thursday night at 7 p.m. live from Raleigh.
That is fascinating. Like we talk about at the NBA a lot, Diesel teams coming back down 3-0. But, it's just as hard in hockey. Like all they have to do is win a game. And man, if Carolina can tie this thing up, tomorrow? Is that right? Tomorrow night?
That's correct.
If they can tie this thing up, all bets are off.
Yeah, the big problem there is, Cole, you send it back to New York for Game 7, and that gets tough.
That's tough. But you know what, man? That's what you want to do, right? You want to try to send it back, and that'd be big for Carolina.
There is nothing better. There's no better 4-word combination than Game 7 playoff hockey.
Sure.
That environment is more raucous than anything you could ever be a part of. Look, I understand, Bryant-Denny Stadium holds 100,000 people, but I'm telling you, it's nothing like being in an 18,000 seat hockey arena when that place gets going for a Game 7 in the playoffs.
It is. It really is. It's one of those things that you don't really know how to talk about it, and you really can't describe it until you experience it. And they've done an incredible job promoting hockey as well. I think in the past few years, I think people were starting to get more involved with it. And, we don't have a team right here in the upstate, but I think, Diesel, if they had a team in Charlotte, I think you'd see people in the upstate get a lot more involved with it. Raleigh's a long drive. I'd like to go to some games, but, man, Raleigh's, 3 hours? Is that right? 3.5 hours?
Yeah, Raleigh's about 3.5, 4 hours. But, Cole, why are you shooting us short here in the upstate, man? We don't want to drive to Charlotte for hockey. We want hockey right here.
Oh, I know that. I
Greenville.
said that. I've said it a million times, but us saying I want hockey isn't going to
But we need more people saying I want hockey instead of more people saying it could never happen here.
Yeah, I agree. That's I hear you. I'm not disagreeing with you. I have a different angle, different viewpoint on that. I would like it as well. I really would. But I'm just thinking best case scenario, hey, I like it in Charlotte. To be hours a lot better than 3.5. Last night, the Stars also defeated the Avalanche 5-1. They now lead the series 3-1. The Celtics in the NBA defeated the Cavaliers Monday night 109-102. They hold a 3-1 series lead. The Thunder.
You smell that, Cole? That's that delicious
I smell
food
the catering.
wafting out of this venue,
It's
man.
not good. It's not good. I'm getting really, really hungry.
No, the food is good. Just the fact that we smell the food and we can't have the food is what's not good.
Sure. I'm starving now. The Thunder last night defeated the Dallas Mavericks 100-96. The series now tied 2-2. Tonight in the NBA playoffs, you have the Pacers and the Knicks at 8 o'clock, Nuggets and T-Wolves at 10:30. Both of those series are knotted up 2-2. And then, lastly, Diesel, the Braves, well, I say actually next to last. The Braves and the Cubs face off tonight 7:20. Coming up in less than an hour, Chris Sale on the mound for the Braves. You know what's funny, I guess, / interesting, Diesel? With Strider going out, there were a lot of Braves fans that it took a lot out of them, right? Because Strider's one of the best in baseball. So whenever Strider went down, it was really, really hard on Braves fans to feel like they had a chance. But maybe Chris Sale is that piece that Braves fans can latch on to if they continue to see performances like you're getting out of him. I'm not saying he's Strider right now, but if he can stay healthy, like that rotation's still good enough to make a run.
Yeah, Cole, they are. I mean, and you're getting guys like Reynaldo Lopez to step up and be really good in that starting role. I mean, it's tough to see Reynaldo Lopez not give up any runs yet not get the win for last night. That's tough for him, but it would be Ray Kerr for the Atlanta Braves who officially scored the win for the Braves. AJ Minter got the save. So, shout out to that entire Braves staff for throwing a shutout against the Chicago Cubs, who are not a bad baseball team, 24-18 after last night's loss.
I was worried, though, man, when AJ Minter came out and after what he did in New York, I was like, oh, man, I don't know if this is going to be good. But the good news is AJ Minter delivered last night. It did get a little hairy, but AJ Minter, for the most part, has been good.
Yeah,
I just don't like seeing him out there in the night.
It's tough for Lopez to throw 5 innings, give up 2 hits, get 4 strikeouts, cement his ERA even more. He's got one of the best ERAs in baseball with a 1.34 and not get the win. You hate to see stuff like that happen where the guy who deserves the win not get it. But, hey, that's how they score things in baseball.
Yeah, it is.
It's tough.
It really is. Diesel, earlier today, news broke. Clemson, Georgia. I know we're at the Spartanburg Gamecock Club event now, but news broke earlier about the Clemson Tigers, and for the majority, people were not very happy. We all knew that Clemson, Georgia, somewhat a big deal. It should be 3:30. It should be toward the evening times, right? However, they have decided ABC has Clemson and Georgia at 12 noon on August 31st.
Boo, that is a poor decision.
I
don't like it.
I don't know what the rest of the slate is. I don't know what the rest of the schedule is, but that game being at 12, maybe they just know that Georgia's going to kick Clemson's you-know-what. Maybe they think, there's going to be some better games that night. If it's a close game, it will be disappointing that it wasn't the primetime game. But what's funny, Diesel, is if that game was a blowout and Georgia just runs table and runs shop, if you will, nobody will care that it was in there.
That's what, it seems to me that's what they're assuming. The scheduling gods are assuming that is going to be a blowout on Georgia's behalf. Texter says, I think the Swamp Rabbits would like a word about no hockey in Greenville. Another texter says, Cole and Diesel, are you guys forgetting Nashville has an excellent hockey team and environment? Yeah, Texter, we know, but Nashville is a long way away.
Nashville is way too far away.
That is a required hotel stay if you're going to a hockey game in Nashville. It's essentially a required hotel stay if you're going to a hockey game in Raleigh. If Atlanta gets a hockey team back again, that is going to be an almost required hotel stay. Charlotte, you can make it back. Texter here calls me out, Cole, because I guess I did accidentally say fourth period in hockey. I meant to say they scored their 4 goals in the third period. So excuse me for accidentally saying
don't
fourth
make
period
mistakes
for hockey.
You
How
can't make
dare
mistakes.
I?
You know
How
better
dare
than
I?
that.
We're flying off the cuff, guy. We don't have time to go back and edit ourselves.
You know better than that. Making mistakes. It's weird though. Like I did think that would be the biggest game.
He said game clock earlier, so why didn't you give him crap?
Game clock. What is the game clock? That is what you watch during the game to see if time expires. This is the Gamecock club event. Like, I think that Georgia Clemson, you know what? I'm not trying to read too much into this, but that game being at noon, does that tell us where things are today with Clemson? Does that show that, maybe they don't have the draw that they used to have 4 or 5 years ago?
We need to know from Clemson fans, genuine poll, how do you feel about your chances against Georgia? I mean, Georgia is one of the best, if not the best program in college football right now. They're returning 15 starters on that team, and you got Cade Klubnik under center, okay? Mistake-prone Cade Klubnik. We need a confidence level from Clemson fans on how you feel going into that Georgia game. 1, meaning I got no confidence we're going to get blown out. 10 is I got supreme confidence we are definitely winning this game. Text in at 71307. Start your text with keyword fan. Or if you're watching the stream, drop your comment in the stream.
Texter says, I'm calling it now. Beamer goes 5-7, but gets that 5th year and surprises everyone. How about let's go back to that coming up next, Diesel? Let's go back to what we started the show with, and let's let you decide. The texter will tell you what we predicted South Carolina to do in 2024. Looking at their very competitive schedule, we'll tell you how many wins we think they'll have. This is Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on Wire to Wire on the Fan Upstate.
We're going wire to wire.
Hey, you want me to be honest, don't you?
On the Fan Upstate.
He is Cole Bryson. We do want you to be honest, Cole, and maybe that's something that was ruffling some feathers here to start the show earlier. Cole, you and I went game by game, made our picks for what we think might happen with the Gamecocks season. You're a little more bullish on them than I am. I got some real question marks going into this season. And we had that caller yesterday who I don't remember his name. I don't remember Brian, I think is his name. He calls in and says, man, they're going to win 12 games. Whew, man, that's how you end up every season feeling disappointed. But hey, going into a season with that amount of fire and piss and vinegar in your veins, man, that means you're ready to go as a Gamecock fan. And, that hope springs eternal. But Cole, you and I went game by game with this team, seeing where we think they might go. I got them winning versus Old Dominion, versus Akron.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long time before the Gamecocks win again, going all the way to November 2nd with Texas A&M at home. I got them winning that game. They'll beat Vanderbilt. They'll beat Wofford, and that's about it. That means they'll lose at Kentucky. They'll lose hosting LSU, hosting Ole Miss, at Alabama, at Oklahoma, hosting Missouri, and at Clemson. I just don't see them having enough. And I could be wrong about some of these. I'm a little bit wishy-washy right now about that Clemson game. I think that might be a game that's a little sneaky and closer than a lot of Tiger fans would like to admit. But Lenore Sellers by then will have full command of this offense. And Cade Klubnik is what Cade Klubnik is. I mean, I have more faith in Lenore Sellers' ability to grab a hold of this offense and this team than I have Cade Klubnik to turn things around.
Sure.
And get a hold of it by the end of the season.
So I hear you, and I'm not disagreeing with you completely. I just know that, when you say he could have complete control by the end of the season, I think, well, here's the deal. I think that it's so up in the air. He could have complete control. They could be playing well, like South Carolina was with Spencer Rattler 2 years ago to end the season when they beat Kentucky or when they beat Tennessee and Clemson. Or the reality of it is the wheels could fall off. You do play such a tough schedule that the reality of it is by week 7, week 8, week 9, it may be you're going into week 8, week 9 with 2 wins. Now, I had South Carolina at 6-6 on the season, only one more win than you did, Diesel, but I had them beating Old Dominion. I'm trying to find my 6 wins. I had them beating Kentucky. There's 2. I had them beating the 4th game, which was Akron.
Mm-hmm.
So I have them 3-1. I have them losing 3 straight. Ole Miss, Bama, Oklahoma, which I think is going to be tough. I do have them beating A&M, beating Vandy, losing to Missouri, beating Wofford, and then losing to Clemson. That would be 6-6.
Yeah, Cole, I mean, to take this thing back to a car metaphor, maybe Lenore Sellers has a great command and a tight grip on the wheel of a Pinto, whereas Cade Klubnik has a loose grip and one hand on the wheel of a Ferrari. And it may be maybe that somebody driving that Pinto can pass that Ferrari when it's spinning out of control.
Well, the reality of it is, Diesel, while we may think that Lenore has more command than Cade does, let's call it like it is. Cade doesn't play half the schedule. Cade doesn't play near as competitive as a schedule as South Carolina plays. So we have to look at it from a point of, okay, Cade may not be where Cade needs to be. However, how many teams that Cade plays this year will make Cade look better because of who he's playing? That's just a fact, right? They play in the ACC. It's not the SEC. So while Lenore's situation may be different than Cade's, you have to look at the reality of it is, the reality of Cade's schedule's a lot different. And at times it may benefit him.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Clemson's schedule this year. Georgia is probably penciled in as a loss. I'm going to tell you, Clemson fans, this is not me being a homer, but knowing the team the way that I do think App State could give Clemson a game there in week 2. If you get curb stomped in week 1, you're feeling bad about yourselves. I think App State could be a sneaky good team. NC State is a solid football team, but it's certainly not an SEC-level football team. Florida State, man, so many question marks surrounding them and the way they're having to rebuild in this offseason. And then what do you got? Top 22 Louisville Cardinals, and then you don't face another ranked team in the preseason rankings, at least, for the rest of the season. So, going into the season, Clemson only plays 4 ranked teams coming in from the preseason poll, and all of those teams, Cole, outside of Georgia, are ranked 15th or worse.
The only way I could see App State being a problem is I'll reverse what you said. I could see App State being a problem if they go beat Georgia, okay? And then maybe they're feeling good about themselves. They're high on life, right? And they underestimate or overlook, rather, App State. I think if they lose to Georgia and it's a bloodbath or it gets ugly, I think they'll refocus and reel off, 7 or 8 in a row.
Yeah, but I see that changing the environment in a major way. Sure, it'll be the first home game of the season, and a lot of Clemson fans will be, chomping at the bits to get down into Death Valley. But I see that number of fans. What it looks like, Cole, when the corners are starting to get a little empty up there in the upper deck. Yeah. I think that could be a real risk if Georgia comes in and kind of stomps Clemson by 21, 28 points or more.
Well, the reality of it is, as we said earlier, it is the narrative will be created in that very first game, and I don't know that Clemson fans will be able to lose that narrative or lose the taste of that narrative as the season goes on if that first game's ugly. I just don't. I'm not saying you can't rebound. I'm not saying you can't go and win the rest of them. I'll just tell you this. You get hammered at Mercedes-Benz, and that thing's not competitive. The people who are going to be calling for Cade's job and the people who are going to be iffy about Dabo's job, they'll be in droves. I can promise you. I'm not saying by any stretch of the imaginations that Dabo's on the hot seat. But listen, Diesel, if they get embarrassed by Georgia, the headlines the next Monday will be, the dynasty is officially over. It's over.
Yeah.
It's done. There's nothing else he can do. That will be the headline if that happens.
Where will the people be, Cole, saying, yeah, but he's doing it the right way?
Oh, who gives a crap?
He's recruiting the right kind of players.
Oh, yeah.
The retention. Isn't it so great that we have so much retention on our roster? Those people, your argument will become 100% moot. No one will want to hear that argument anymore.
Do they give championships out for retention and doing things? No, I'm serious. At the end of the season, do they say, well, this team had the most retention. Congratulations. This team did things the right way. Congratulations. Or do they say, look, this championship is to who won the freaking national championship. At the end of the day, people don't care if you do things the right way.
Yeah, I'm sure there's an award somewhere for highest team GPA and
that's
best,
lovely.
Ranking community service somehow. Nobody cares about that, Cole.
Well, here's the deal. When Miami was in their prime, did people care in the 90s? Did people care about doing things the right way?
Nope.
Tell
me, Madcraft, how much of importance? Where do you put that in the scale of things that are important to you as a Miami fan?
It's true though. Clemson fans, they love Dabo, and they may say, oh, well, at the end of the day, we do want our coach doing things the right way, and I get that. But, with the new modern era of college football, I don't think that should be your top concern. I think that should be maybe 6 or 7 down the list. Your top concern should be getting the best talent, Diesel.
What's your top concern? Having the moral high ground or winning championships? Winning the ACC don't mean that much to anybody anymore. Dabo can talk about how great it is, and he can talk about winning 10 games a year. Isn't that awesome? Well, what do they play now? You include the bowl games and you include conference championship games.
And they didn't even
it's
win the
not that
ACC.
hard to win 10 games anymore. Let's not talk about winning 10 games like it actually means that much anymore.
But what's bad is they're to the point now where they're not winning the ACC.
Yeah.
Let's call it like it is.
It's true.
I mean, there used to be a day where Clemson would win the ACC even in a down year, but did Clemson win the ACC last year? That's my point.
I mean, you want to be the best team in the country. You're not even the best team in your conference anymore.
I think it's different. I think both. I think what's fascinating, I don't know how long this will last, Diesel, but I do think so much of the Clemson-Carolina rivalry is built on Clemson being in the ACC and South Carolina being in the SEC. If they were both in the same conference, I do not think the rivalry would be as strong as it is.
Well, hey, we did hear some news come out over the past 24 hours or so, and this was kind of a drive-by thing. I didn't really get to read the thing because once you see it, it's gone. You can't find it again. But there was some report that I read about the SEC maybe not being that hot on Clemson and Florida State right now because, you know, they look at it as market redundancy. Sure. And then the University of North Carolina came out in a report that was shared by Brett McMurphy yesterday saying, man, we got to get out of the ACC. That could be UNC saying, oh, well, you didn't want Clemson and Florida State. Guess what? We look pretty good up here, don't we?
We'll see you tomorrow, Tolos. It was a great time at the Spartanburg Gamecock Club meeting. We will see you tomorrow.